Good. Boom. Just wrapped up a episode with Richard Clark. Richard is a creative director, videographer, photographer. He has a clothing brand called Rich in Contrast. That's actually the name of his company as well. You can hire him for any of your needs in videography, but it goes so much deeper than that. This episode, we touched on a ton of things in regards to life and mindset and perspective. Enjoy. Richard N. Clark. And the N is significant.
The fourth.
The fourth?
Yes, sir. Shouts out my great-granddaddy.
Damn, that's awesome, nice. Dude.
Keep it in the family.
Dude, long line of videographers. And
No, not really. I'm the first, man, one of one. That's what's kind of funny about the whole Richard Clark the fourth, you know. We'll get into it, man, but identity, you know, it's everything. And I do really love the number 4, and that's something that, like, yeah, that's my thing. You know, I'm the fourth. But
yeah, I see that Roman numeral, bro. I don't even know if a Roman numeral don't look like this for 4. I'm like, what is that? Is that 72? Like that is.
Roman numerals are pretty funky for sure.
They look sick though.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, when I see your name, it's dope because it's just like it is. It's like the whole thing. Like everything matters. Like you know when someone puts their initial right there, I'm like, okay, I gotta know the whole story, and that makes sense because this is like generations.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
It is.
That's awesome, man.
Before we get started, man, real quick, shouts out to y'all for having me. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day and let me sit down and just, you know, share a little bit about myself, my story, and my journey. That means a lot, you know. I think
nice.
That's one thing that a lot of people don't really recognize. Just being able to, like, speak about, you know, things that you care about is super passionate about. And really thankful for the opportunity, y'all.
Dude.
And, of course, shouts out to all my friends and family. You know, I guess, you know, I wouldn't be here today without y'all. So, real talk. Much love, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's all about the community, man, and the people around you, right? Helping you stay sane, man, because we got to grind every day. So tell the people a little bit about what you do. You're a video creative director, videographer, photographer. Fill in the blanks after that.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate you saying the creative director part because I think it's so funny. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I just really recognize, you know, I'm more than a photographer, more than a videographer. I actually went to school for journalism, political science. So, you know, from the very beginning of my, like, college, you know, education, I was working for the newspaper. But yeah, you know, I've been inside of the all the assets as far as the production behind like a weekly newspaper, and just like a media, you know, like managing a brand essentially. And so when I think of being a creative director, like you're writing the story of whoever that you're working with, be it a business, organization, artist, band. So, you know, I really like have been trying to embody that these days because it's like, yeah, photographers, dude, I love photography, I love videography, like all those things are aspects of you know, who I am and like the services I provide. But you know, I just I'm starting to really kind of like step into that new role as far as like the new version of myself in that sense. It's being a creative director is how I like to be you know, identified as far as again those services and what I provide. But you know, again, that's just
it
how
seems
I
like that's how you approach it, you know, and that's that's the reason I'm fascinated by with how you do what you do, and that's why I, you know, when like this is like a no-brainer because you know what you did with Chuck's video, Ghostbusters, like that was the first thing that I had seen, and it was like, you know, it's not just a normal video. Like you could tell there was a lot of creative direction. There was a lot of thought out of how this whole thing is going to tie together and look, and a lot, you know, that doesn't fall under videography, like just this one, like, you know, you just bundle you up in this one word where it's like, no, like, you know, this shit has layers and depth. So that was really impressive to me, and that's really cool, and I'm really excited to see what else you got going on, because
Absolutely,
this
man.
is what the city needs.
We'll
honestly,
get into that for sure, about all that whole, just how we met, all that video came to life, and I'll break it down a little bit because, like you said, there's a lot of layers to that video that, on first glance, some people might have zero clue as far as like the purpose behind the shots, as well as just all of the different editing styles behind it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later on, man, for sure.
Well, give me a little bit about just growing up, and I mean, obviously you went to college for doing stuff, editorial type of stuff,
Yeah.
where you're kind of being able. That's where it started, or where did your like kind of love for a camera kind of come in? Was it after that or before that?
Oh man, this is elementary type shit, brother. This is, again, I love photography, and it's definitely so intertwined in my identity, and just film and media, all of those things I'm super passionate about, because it's a storytelling. Yeah. I mean, today I'm just going to kind of go in about my story as a person, and like how I've, gotten to where I'm at today, and all these different aspects of my life. So I hope y'all are ready to sit down for 3 hours or so. I hope you told the missus, hey, I'll be back after dinner, because we're going to be here for a bit, guys. I really appreciate it, like I say, but it'll be a good time, man. I love to be known as a creative director these days, because I view myself as so much more than just a photographer, just a filmer. Not that those aren't bad things by any means, and I love those trades, but as far as the services I provide and like what I'm trying to accomplish, like it's much bigger than just taking photos. It's much bigger than just filming an event or editing a video. And so like you said, in college, I studied journalism. I was actually started off as a photographer, worked my way up all the way to editor in chief. So for 4 years during school, I was like actively working for the newspaper year round. Jumped in as their social media manager my second year, and then I took over the lead graphic design role. So I oversaw their redesign of their newspaper, their website.
Wow.
Every week that we came out with a new paper, I had to manage all the editors, like the different sections, as well as just what that final print copy actually came out as. And so I love journalism, and I think that well, first off, like I definitely don't want to be a journalist in the traditional sense. And so that's obviously why I'm here today, man. We're just having a conversation, talking on the air. But yeah, again, I do love journalism, and it's taught me so much about this trade, this craft, and it's really like storytelling that drew me to journalism in the first place, because everybody's got a story, no matter who you are, where you come from, whether it's a business, a brand, individual, artist, the world's still unfolding. Like that story is still unfolding today. And, that's just, like I said, we'll get in more into that, but yeah, storytelling is what I love. And I love to be able to work with brands, businesses, people, and to help tell their story, and the media side of things, as far as like, again, what I do, photography, videography, copywriting, design, all of those things are aspects of how people can help tell their story. Think about the internet and just again, just media as a whole. Like all of these are different ways to connect with your audience and to share how you want to be seen, like what's the perspective that you want to put out in the world, and again, like how do you want to be viewed as an individual, as a business, as a brand. So storytelling, man, that's a really that's how I like to approach things, as far as and
a creative way to do it. And that's what's cool. Like, other than just, this is one medium, like you're saying, we sit here and have a podcast and we can just talk about your story. And then there's ways that you're able to visually express your story. And I think through music videos and things like that, it's cool because you get to make other people's visions come to life and tell people's stories in a way that they can't tell that story really that way, and then they work with somebody like you who can partner with them on a vision and bring something to life. I mean, that's got to just feel good, as
Yeah, I mean, dude, you just said it, like something that wasn't there before, didn't exist, and then you go ahead and create that. You brought that to life. That's profound, man. I think people just don't even think about that deeply enough. Like that, any craft, any art, again, even as a business owner, from the inception, as far as the idea that they had to when they go public and are actively pursuing those entrepreneur efforts, man, that takes so much vision and just like belief. And like you say, you just brought that to life into the world. And I think that's, really unique to humanity, as well as just like, an artist in any aspect. But yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I don't think people really like sit on that and like actually think about how like profound that is, to be like, yo, like just did something like that. Being creative like that is.
How long have you been shooting music videos?
Man, so this is this is fun. Like, music videos for me, man, it's still fairly new, but I remember back in college, like this is like 6 years ago, dude, running around with my homies who were making music back then, and I was doing stuff for fun.
Just like quick videos. Hey, shoot me a video. You'd just be like, all right, let's go.
No, a lot of it, like, I had like kind of like
real, like you'd set it up.
Yeah, no, we'd talk about exactly like the song and like kind of like what scenes would be where in the music videos and whatnot. But those never really came out just because those friends of mine like weren't as serious about music at the time as a lot of y'all are, and so it wasn't necessarily something that like has been published. But I probably got like 3 or 4 music videos under my belt.
Right now, currently.
Yeah, like that's just overall, like,
wow.
And again, those that have been public are the ones that I'm most proud of, which are also the only ones you could find online.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Thanks, man. No, I appreciate
because of like the quality of the video. Would you agree? Like 3 or 4 videos, it's like that's
loaded,
like,
man.
That's I could tell that there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot, like when you say storytelling, like that totally makes sense, because music videos is like, that's like it's just a sliver of what you're ultimately probably good at, which is telling a story. So yeah.
Shouts out, man. No, I really appreciate you being able to recognize that. Like,
I did always notice that his videos had that little notch. I was just like, how's he getting that little leg up? Because like they tell a nice story. So yeah,
appreciate you, brother. Yeah, so you'd asked right before we kind of got cut off earlier, just like what got me into photography and like how I got to where I'm at today, and eventually I'm gonna get into my brand. Shouts out Rich and Contrast. I'm just decked out today because it's it's my clothing brand. It's my identity, like I said, and that's everything. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to tell y'all a little story. If you guys, it's story time.
That's why we're here.
Is it story time?
That's why we're here.
Oh boy, it's story time. Yeah, man. So again, I was just kind of describing like what got me into photography is the same as it probably got you into music or any painter or graffiti artist, just an artist of any kind, any aspect. I want to say it's very similar. It was a means of escape. Like, it's funny for me to talk about today and just like, at this moment in my life. But yeah, I didn't have the best upbringing. I'm not going to get into too much details. It wasn't like crazy traumatic. I mean, I've been through some pretty fucked up shit, not going to lie. But yeah, like photography was a means of escape for me. Another thing that I'm like super proud of that I always just like talk about is like, I didn't grow up with internet or TV, man. Like, I know our generation's super unique in that aspect where it's like, we're very familiar and we know how to get around. We know how to surf the web, but we probably didn't grow up with internet or cable or none of that. And that profoundly changes the way you view the world, in my opinion, and how you see things, just in life and in general. So as a young kid, like without TV, bro, like you got to just entertain yourself. My dad, bro, like, the yard's there, go have fun, like what are you gonna go do today? And like you really have to dig into your imagination and just like again, like being a kid, like I think you guys both have kids, right?
Yeah.
Shouts out my girlfriend. We both have a beautiful little girl. She just turned 3 on Sunday. I know she's watching, so I just want to let her know how much I love her.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I think I was just gonna say like today's podcast will probably hit really home for you two and hopefully anyone else that's listening that may have kids, just because of all the things that I'll get into. But again, photography was a means of escape for me. And before I ever even owned a camera, dog, before I even ever pressed click on that shutter, I was just consuming media. Like my dad used to always have like Nat Geo magazines or like outdoor, almanacs and like encyclopedias and stuff. And so that was my means of entertainment. Like that's a window into a whole new world. It's crazy again to think about, like nowadays kids can just go like put on planet Earth and be like, yo, like that's the world, that's what's out there.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're in a small town, man, and like again, you don't have any internet or TV or none of that, you're kind of just in your own little world, and that can kind of be scary at times. And like, so when you get, you'd read a book or like you again look at a photo, you read a magazine, those things are a way to travel.
Yeah, it takes you away.
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. Like mentally, you're put into a different position and you're exposed to other ideas, and that was beautiful for me. And again, that was just a means of escape. So photography, dude, it's been a part of my like worldview, my perspective since I was probably like 10, you know what I mean?
Because
And
stories were being told to you through photography as a kid, just not having TV, not having some of this other stuff, and you just got magazines, and because you take an image and you kind of have to do the rest of the work, right? Like a video, you're watching something that somebody else did, but if you're looking at a photo, you're looking at it and you're adding pieces together. You're thinking like, you know, you're adding pieces to this story. Like your imagination is kind of expanding on what you're seeing, you know, especially if you're a kid, you know. So I can see where that could. So is that kind of where you fell in love with just like imagery and
totally, dude. You know, before I've gotten to where I'm at now, like, you know, it all makes sense again, like further we get in this conversation, but I did want to be like a Nat Geo photographer. Like I love the outdoors.
Yeah.
As a kid, my dad would take us camping for 2-3 weeks at a time. And like, that's how I grew up, and I love that. And so I was, you know, very passionate about the outdoors, the environment. And so I always wanted to kind of pursue that. And, you know, just life takes you in a different direction. Like you never know how this, again, story's going to unfold or where it's going to take you. And I still shoot, you know, outdoor landscapes, and I have like, you know, prints that I could sell for the, of just landscape photography, but it just felt very limiting. Again, you know, I don't like those boxes, you know, that's why that's why I have never pursued a career in journalism, is that it does put you in a box as a creative, as a writer, as a storyteller. And so, you know, I never, you know, wanted to go all in on the outdoor photography and stuff, because I realized like what I want to do is much more than just share images of the beautiful world that we all live in.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, just like talking about the outdoors and stuff, because again, like as a kid, like you're just kind of like living life. You have no idea of all these other hardships or challenges and stuff. And yeah, man. So
where'd you grow up? Would you grow up in Washington? Or?
No. So you had just earlier you had mentioned Minnesota, and I was like, yo, there's a little irony there. I was born in Two Harbors, Minnesota. I'm from the north, up in the cold, man. So I'll be honest, you know, I didn't grow up there my whole life. We moved, we bounced around a lot as a family, like I said. But yeah, I was born in northern Minnesota, way out in the sticks, man. We come from the woods, brother.
How was it like out there?
Oh, y'all think this 9 inches is something? Man, they get 6 feet every winter out there. Like, my dad's got 2 feet of ice under his lake outside his property, and like his buried in snow, dude. You got to get a tractor to move that stuff just to get out of the driveway.
Damn.
It ain't easy. You know, life is so different, you know, in an environment like that, in a lifestyle like that.
Summer slap, though.
Oh, it's beautiful out there. The fall is my favorite time, and if you guys ever you know, get a chance to go visit Minnesota, like go in the fall, because the colors are crazy, man. Really? The only thing that I would say gets close to Minnesota fall is like New York, Maine, because of those same kind of aspects. There's just tons of foliage, and all the trees are just like blooming. Oh
yeah,
man,
those
it's
yellow, orange trees. And whenever you see those pictures and stuff, I'm always like, where is that? And it's always like upstate New York, something like that. Like
100%.
I've always wanted to know Maine, because it's like a little bit more north, but it's basically like East Coast Washington, I've always thought, but it's like it's more up there.
Yeah, I ain't got money to go visit there, I'll tell you that much. But hopefully one day soon we can make it out there. And
I'm trying to hit them all, man. I'm trying to catch them all like Pokemon, bro. All them fucking states, dude. I'm trying to.
Yeah, man. So photography, again, just a means of escape for me, like any art form. And I think that some people don't really, like I say, like think about photography or like art and in that level. And, you know, sometimes I get a little irked, because it's like, again, we're going back to just the internet and the media, brothers. Like, the world is so different. And like when we think about Instagram specifically and just like photography, I get a little irked, man, because like I view this as like I think of photography and art as that, like a way of life. It's a lifestyle, it's a philosophy, it's a perspective. And so for me, I take it very seriously. Like I take it very, you know, deeply to my soul. I don't know how else to say it than that. And when we think of the internet, dude, there's all these different trends. And like, I remember early in Instagram, dude, like, and this is mad funny. I'll say it too. This is the first time I publicly said it, but my first Instagram handle, man, could y'all guess? Let me just ask that much. You never will. No. Could you guess?
You never will. You never will.
Yeah, so like my first Instagram was actually Dick's Pics, because my name's Richard.
Oh,
so
there we go.
I know it was just a funny little pun at the time. I was a shithead 14-year-old, but that was my first Instagram name, and I just think it's funny to share that, because it's like, you know,
should have kept it.
Yeah, dude, like you could not get away with that nowadays.
Dick's Pics is selling a lot for that handle right now, dude. If somebody wants it,
I got
dude.
that trademark.
We get that Dick's Pics, bro.
No,
you could bring that back.
Dude, if Dick's Burgers had that page, dude, then they just put literally Dick's
hamburgers
picks, and
all
it was
up
just
there.
burgers all through that motherfucker. Dude, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Dix would
No.
have swooped that.
But yeah, man. So like, I really do remember like Instagram at its earliest, like building phase, and I was so inspired as a photographer, dude. Like that was when I first had gotten my camera. It was like 2012, dude, and
Yep.
I don't even know fucking how old I was, like 14, maybe 15. And so I remember like just going on there and like seeing some of the most incredible, you know, artists, photographers, filmers, and just being like mad inspired again. That was like the second phase in my like artistry, or just like my development as an artist. Magazines, movies, all those old school brick and mortar, you know, like mediums, like that's what I knew and that's what I loved. And then all of a sudden I was exposed to a flood of different influences from all across the world, because that's what the internet does, man. It connects people across the world. It creates communications, and it just like, you know, you build bridges with that, and it's beautiful. But what I'm getting at, man, is like, there's not a lot of people out there that take it as serious or like as deeply as some of those people that I was looking up to, because of these trends online. And so yeah, I get a little irked sometimes when I think of photography being as like trendy as it is nowadays, and just being as a, you know, kind of clickbaity. It's like there's different styles and everyone has a different again, like relationship with photography. But one thing that always gets me is because I didn't have a lot of the opportunities, man. The first camera I got was gifted to me by my father for graduating high school, and that was like, whew, I can go actually do the things that I wanted now. Like, man, that was awesome. But I just laugh because like some people, like, you know, they've been doing what they've been doing for so long, cop a camera for $5,000, get all the presets, buy all the programs, get the fancy computer, and then they're just like, I do this now. And it's like, yeah, like they might have always had that passion, and so I'm not here really trying to like hate on it, but it's just like, personally, I get a little irked, you know, when I think about
let's just be
these
real.
trends.
I mean, honestly, most people want a fucking car or something like that when they graduate. So when someone gets a camera, you know they're about to fucking do something. And like, you know, I mean, come on. It's like, all right, what do you want, a Civic? You're like, no, Dad, I want a fucking I want a DSLR A40. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Sony. Fucking.
The only two things that I asked for when I graduated high school is actually mad funny. I never really had kicks growing up, man. We always, you know, had like handy down shirts. Like all my older brothers and sisters went through like that Hollister phase, dude, in like the early mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So I had to rock Hollister, and dude, I am not what that brand represents. I'm a skater, dude. Like I'm a rocker. I'm a punk.
This is your hand-me-downs and
yeah,
shit.
man. And like it's just what I had to go with.
Yeah,
you know what I
like,
mean? I had no option. I had no
Fucking
choice.
prep. You're like, no,
Yeah.
no, I didn't fucking buy these, dude.
Hey, luckily that at that time, you know, 2010, like that was still kind
was
of
cool,
cool.
yeah.
It was still all right, but
Yeah,
that, you know,
yeah.
that's not who I identified as.
Yeah.
That's not who I was as a person, and you know, not being able to reflect that into the world, like that was mad annoying. But
Oh, I bet so many people with siblings can relate to that.
100%. I'm actually the youngest of 8, so
Jesus.
I know that's a whole
8?
nother story. But
Wow.
yeah, so the only two things that I asked for when I graduated was a pair of Jordans and a camera. Luckily, you know, I got both of those things, so I was feeling pretty
Sick.
cool like after graduation.
That's pretty badass. Yeah, yeah. You got some new Jordans, and
I
you
don't
just,
even rock Jordans. I have a buddy who's like a huge sneakerhead, and his closet is full from the bottom to the top of like nice shoes. And I'm like, man, I got a pair of Carhartts on because it's snowy outside. Like I wear dirty Vans because like that's what was comfy as a skater. I love Adidas because I used to skate. Like they're just mad comfy shoes. But anyways, yeah, man. So those are the only things I ever asked for.
got them Chevrolets, baby. I got my camera and my Jordans, bro.
The
We just gonna get
Lamborghinis,
there.
brother. The
Them
Lamborghinis.
Lamborghinis.
So yeah, man, photography again, it's a really interesting like development as a craft, even over the last 2 decades. But I'm again, I just love it, and I think of the internet as a beautiful thing. But yeah, like early Instagram, that was a mad inspiring place. Nowadays, you know, it's a little different. The algorithm's not just based upon like when people posted it or who you follow. There's so many more weird little like aspects to specifically Instagram. There's other platforms out there that do it a lot different. But again, like when you see artists specifically changing the way that they shoot or like the style that they shoot based upon these trends of on the internet of what's popping, like that's where I kind of, like I say, get a little just like, you know, like I have gone through you know, all the different hoops that I'm sure a lot of different photographers and artists have gone through. I've done weddings, I've done couple photo shoots, I've done grad photos, I've done portraits, but that's not what I want to do. That's not who I am. You know, it's like there's a place for that. And if you're really trying to make just a career, like you just enjoy photography and like that's, you know, something that you just love to do no matter what, go do those things, brothers and sisters. Like, go do that. Like, that's awesome. But that's just never really, again, like I say, like what I wanted to set out and do. Because yeah, like making a career doing what you love is great, but I'm trying to do a little bit more than just get paid to take photos. Like, I'm trying to do
What
a little
do
bit
you
more.
want to do?
Yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah, no, we'll get into it, man, because I think I want to talk about a little bit of like, you know, again, like just the rich and contrast and like what that really means and like where the values come from and like the inspirations behind that. So yeah, you know, there's a lot. It's a lot. That's a loaded gun of a question. You know what I mean? And
No, let's take it slow. I like it. I'm very interested in the rich and contrast. What part of your life? You're 14. You finally get on Instagram. You're getting inspired. You got your freaking Lamborghinis, dude. You out there with your new camera. Where are we going now? What's happening? What are you doing? Are you shooting landscapes? Is that kind of where you were, or were you wanting to start shooting videos for people, or how did that unfold after graduation?
Yeah, well, even in high school before I graduated, you know, I had buddies that were recording just off of their phones and like trying to like, you know, freestyle and just like they really did want to pursue music. But I think, you know, again, there's a time when certain people question like, you know, those things, and like I've always just kind of kept pushing past. But yeah, like in high school, again, like my name was DixPix27 on Instagram, mad funny, and I changed it to Rich and Contrast. At the time, it really was just a play on words. So my name's Richard. Cool. Contrast, if you edit photos, there's a little slider that you can add or take away contrast. And really what that, you know, does when you're editing a photo is just like darken the image. And it makes it more punchy, and like it really adds saturation, which is just like color for those for those listening that don't know. And so yeah, like that was just my style, like, as far as like an early photographer, like who had zero idea of how to edit photos. Like I didn't have the programs, but I was just on Instagram editing those photos on the app, because it's like, you know, it's like you got to do what you got.
So Instagram was your first editing app.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I had a little, I don't even know what freaking phone that was, dude, just the old brick. And yeah, I would tap in on Wi-Fi. That was how I took photos, was on my phone as like a 14, 15-year-old before I got my real camera. Yeah. I was just out running around with the phone, going on hikes, going for late night walks. Cause, you know, I was in three sports as a kid in high school, and like I didn't really have much spare time for me, you know. Like I think that's one thing that, again, like I'll talk about more, but like there's so many kids out there that just don't have the opportunity to like do what makes them happy and really like pursue the things that they want to pursue for themselves first. And that, you know, like, so again, I would go run around at night after school, after I got my homework done, after sports practice, and like just take photos on my phone. And that, you know, had a huge influence on the style that I have today, because it's dark outside, not a lot of lights. What are you gonna do? And that was, like I say, like that what led me to my style and just my overall like art form today. But yeah, as soon as I graduated high school, my name was Rich and Contrast. It was just a funny play on words. I really liked those dark, punchy images. And so that was all that it was at first. You know, it's like a snowball, you know, it starts small, you keep going, you're rolling it up, and then it's like, oh shit, like we got this boulder of a snowball here, and then it's just moving and it can't be stopped. But yeah, like in college, like we've already talked a little bit about, I was in journalism. I really thought that was my career path. I thought that I was going to become a journalist. I was going to report. I studied political science. I'm super passionate about just like you said earlier, community, society.
So what were you trying to do with your like in journalism? Like basically you get I'm just trying to tap into that feeling too. Like you get this camera and you graduate. And like, what are you like excited to shoot? Like, what are you excited to do with this camera at that age? Was that journalist? Like, it
was. I really thought I would be a photojournalist. So like the combination between mixed media as well as, like you say, just writing and storytelling. Yeah, you can you know, I don't want to say attack, but you can approach subjects in a way as a photojournalist or as a documentary filmmaker in a way that like you can't get across in a little news brief or just a little article, because you know, again, like there's so much more to like media. You can really delve into these concepts and ideas as far as like society, individually, whatever it is, like you can really get into.
We're documentary freaks, you know. We were just talking about that when we were walking up here. Just you know, like how you're able to really captivate and tell, especially when you're telling a story that's, you know, something that somebody's known for a long time, but then you get the right, that's kind of what it is, right? You got to get the right people in to tell the story
Absolutely.
good, and that's that creative direction.
I won't get too into it, but like as a journalist, there are facts and there are truths. So like facts are what we know. They're undeniable. Like, 2 + 2 is 4. Argue me otherwise, internet. Argue me otherwise. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Truths, that's where things get a little different. Things are a little shady. Like, people out there, like, might think one thing, but that's not necessarily, factual. But to them, in their world, in their reality, that's a truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really thought that I would be, again, pursuing photojournalism. And I would, again, like coming from where I come from, having the experiences that I've had, being around the people that I've been around, and again, just the situations, like I wanted to change the world. Like I wanted to do something big, I really, I thought, again, like photojournalism, just journalism in general, is how to do it. Because it's like you are painting a picture of the way things are in the world. And you're not necessarily being a critic, but you are, again, showing them that you're a mirror to society, and you're like, yo, this is what this is.
Yeah.
How do we feel about this? Is this the things that we are happy about as people in, again, this world?
Yes, getting people to think.
Yeah, it's not that deep, like you say, it's just getting people to think.
But it is. Like it isn't, but it is. Yeah.
That's exactly why I said I want to take it a little slow today, because it's big as far as like what rich and contrast means to me and what I'm really trying to do with it. And but go ahead.
So was it just like being in that box? Like, is that kind of what made you were like, just wanting to, like, what was your next step after you left that? Did you graduate college, or?
I actually walked away my senior year, brother. So I was the editor-in-chief at the newspaper there at Eastern Washington University, Go Eags. And, I had been off of financial aid and like just, student loans for 4 years. And just because of, college, it gets the best of us all. I'm a young gun, still trying to figure myself out. Definitely kind of squandered a few of those classes, and definitely should have, taken a little bit more serious. But at the same time, it's like I was involved in so many different things in college. There's an outdoor program that I was a part of that has a huge influence as far as who I am as a person. It's called Epic Adventures, and it stands for Experiential Programs Inspiring Confidence. And so I'll just tell you all a little bit about that experience, because it, like I say, will lead into what that question was as far as like what is rich and contrast? Where did that come from? But yeah, so as I was going through college and in my journalistic, endeavors, I was like, yeah, this isn't it. That's not what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I felt that I loved the, like you say, creative side, the writing, the photography, the design, all of that stuff way more than I did the actual career or like craft of journalism. Cause like you say, that can be very limiting. And so I just kind of felt like, I didn't want to do that, but the outdoor program, again, man, huge influence on myself. I've spent a lot of time in the outdoors just as a kid, and yeah, so that program in itself really just takes students and like they like put them in different hardcore scenarios. Like I was a raft guide for 4 years, so we've been through whitewater rapids. I've rock climbed, I've ice picked, and like climbed mountains. Wow. And like, I only share these things because it's like I say, the program itself is designed so that students can develop themselves as people. They can gain the confidence that they need in order to go do whatever, because that was just an outdoor program. Like that was extracurricular. That wasn't even like I mean, I got paid for it, but it wasn't like like you're getting a degree. A lot of the kids that were involved did get degrees in outdoor recreation or outdoor management.
Because that's what they were interested in.
Yeah. That wasn't me.
But it was just life building also, for you especially, because that wasn't what you were going to do professionally, but that still had an impact on who you became.
Yeah.
Just becoming a tougher person, I'm sure. Anybody who's been through the whitewater rapids has got to be a little tougher than somebody who hasn't.
Exactly.
Or at least prepared for a crazy situation if you're
100%.
out doing something like, and it's always cool to have those friends too. It's like, oh no, I rock climbed. It's like, wait, what? I didn't know that about you. like, so I think that's great, especially for the people out there who have kids because you were saying that, there wasn't enough time, and I think you got to spend time doing things that are going to build you and give you confidence so you can go out in the world and do what you really want to do.
Absolutely, man. No, I think like when I just think of college and stuff, like what I loved about it, what I took out of it the most were all those opportunities. You know, I was in like the housing department for a while, so we ran events and did all this and that just to bring students who lived on campus together and, you know, make that experience more fulfilling for them. They would make friends. We'd have a community. We all were there for the same reason. You know, we're students, and those are things that I'm super passionate about. And that outdoor program, like I say, like it really inspired me to like, just like you say, I was like, bro, if I could climb a mountain, if I could get through these rapids, like what's holding me back? You know, like what is it that's really like holding me back? But, you know, I just have a deep appreciation for those moments and memories and experiences. Cause again, it taught me a lot about myself. So Rich in Contrast at first was just a fun play on words. But like I say, as I'm going through my college experience and as I'm kind of like trying to figure out, like you say, like I already figured out I didn't want to do journalism. That part I got. But what's next? You know, like you say, what are you going to do? And some of y'all might even know who I'm about to like reference just because he's huge right now online. And I'm just thankful that as a 22-year-old, I happen to be scrolling and hit one of his videos and that I sat there long enough to listen to what he had to say, and that it really spoke to me, you know, as a person. Y'all know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yeah.
Tell him. Go ahead. Tell him a little bit about this man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I found Gary Vaynerchuk fucking about
Yard
doing
sale-
flips,
yard
yard
sale
sale
god,
flips. Yeah, dude.
eBay flipper.
Yep. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in there. Honestly, just a gem dropper.
Yeah,
Just
a
a
financial,
gem dropper.
financial
Gem dropper.
advisor, but not financial advisor. You know.
Social
Yeah.
media guru.
Yeah.
He does everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, one thing the reason why I like to talk about him in particular is because, like, he just says it, man. Like, what are you going to do about it? Like, you want to go do this? What are you going to do about it? Like, that's my favorite game is, like, so what? So, like, just give me some examples of, like, challenges or, like, hardships real quick. Let's play a game.
Breakup.
So what?
Fucking broke.
So what?
Lost my job.
So what?
Car wreck.
So what?
Just doesn't matter.
What are you going to go do about it? You know, like, these are
Get a
the
new
things that
car,
we're getting
yeah.
into. Like, you got no job? All right. Go to WorkSource. Go to the local employment offices. You can. There's things you could be doing. Broke car. We got a nice little, you know, public transit system. Get on
You
that
can
bus.
still get there.
You needed, yeah. You don't have a car to get to the job. You can take those Lamborghinis we were talking
That's
about
what I'm saying,
and
yeah.
bring yourself to that spot. And you know, like,
True, because it's fucking slick out there. You could kind of run and just slide where you're going. You don't even have to walk. Like you could just kind of
get those cross country skis
could
on
just
out there.
glide.
Y'all. Keep
Get
going.
your snowboard out.
So Gary taught you basically to get up and change your pace, basically.
And not even just pace, but like really look in the mirror, you know, and think about like, are you doing enough? Like for the goals that you want to accomplish? Are you actually spending the hours? Are you putting in the work? Are you getting your hands dirty? You know, these are the things that I love to talk about. I'm super passionate about. And I think that I, at that time, had said a lot of the same things. And so hearing it come from somebody who has done it, like versus like, you know, I'm still in college. Like I haven't done it. I'm just getting started. But he was just really speaking. Like the whole post, I can't remember. I could probably find it, but it was just like, hey, you're 22. You ain't got it figured out. You don't know what the fuck's going on in the world. Like, that's okay. That's all right. That's a normal place to be at that age. You know, again, the internet has totally changed people's perspective about the way that their life should be led. You know, oh, get rich by 18, famous by 20. I got all the stuff, you know, by 30. I got life figured out by 25. Those things, those expectations are so unrealistic.
No, it's just because you get to see everybody, and in every situation, somebody's blown up on the internet for doing something that you trying to do, and they made it look easy, and you like now holding your like, oh, I need to get, you know, we're all on our own journey. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the big part.
Crazy thing is about that, it's like I don't know none of them people. Like, I mean, y'all
Right.
have like made like you've seen them because
Yeah.
they've showed you them.
Yeah.
But like, do you know anyone who's done any of that? Like blown up and like made it, you know, like millionaire, you know, it's just like, no, I mean, what I'm saying is it's like, it's obviously not realistic. No one in the room even knows any of them people, you know, unless y'all do.
It really depends on how you look at it.
Nah,
Because
not
if you look at it like
it's your perspective, huh?
everybody knows somebody who blown up doing something. And
No, but like, do you know them?
Personally.
Oh no.
That's the point I'm trying to say.
But you're not that many people removed from.
But I'm not
certain
saying
people.
that. The point I'm trying to say is that, like, if we're talking about expectations being set and you feeling like you have to get to somewhere by a certain age and you feeling like you're coming up short, these people that you're setting yourself at, we don't even know them people.
Yeah.
So why judge yourself or compare
That's
yourself
what I'm
to
saying.
them?
I think it used to be
Totally.
like it used to be celebrities, right? So there was like this pedestal that it was like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna be a celebrity. But when the internet came around, you're like,
I could be
that
an
dude-
influencer.
That dude's just a Chad from fucking some high school, and this dude now he got 3.2 million in a career, and like
Exactly.
you don't know this guy, but you're like, you know, you're seeing everyday people who are like, bro, I was in my college dorm, I was broke as shit, and now I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just,
It's just such a
and then
coincidence.
that paints pictures in your head where you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
if
It's
he can
just-
do it, I can do it, you know, and that's when people. It's just letting it get toxic because more and more and more people. There's honestly thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there that have become millionaires on the internet.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So
A lot of
it's
different
like
ways,
Oh,
too.
And a
yeah,
lot of different
millions
ways.
of people. Yeah,
just
yeah.
doing nothing, just doing makeup or just doing
Yeah, tutorials.
motivational speak, or like pretty much in everything you can think of.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
that
for
part.
sure. I don't contest that.
so
at
it can
all.
be like a motivational thing, or it can be toxic depending on your
perspective.
perspective and your life experience. And I feel like a lot of us were all given social media and it didn't come with a manual or like, hey, make sure you don't do this shit all the time. Like, you know, you gotta don't right when you wake up, don't, you know, or like have those like disclaimers. We just all got it and we're just like, fucking, you know, social media just hooks you, and then before you know it, you're closing one, you're fucking opening another one, and you've been doing that for an hour, and you're like, dude, where's my life gone?
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's so many studies and just so many different, you know, evidence out there. Like the more time you spend on social media, the more likely you are to be depressed, to have these anxieties or these fears or, you know, just those, like you say, negative things that just don't help the quality of life, don't help you, again, pursue those things or be
Yeah.
the person that you want to be. And so, yeah, no, I mean, I love that little sidebar because it's like, that was it. You know, again, like we all want to be successful in what we want to do, no matter what that level of success looks like to you. I'm just saying, because of the internet, people's idea of what success looks like is astronomically unrealistic, or at least just much more unattainable, again, than what they'd like you to believe it to be.
I agree.
And the reason why I say all that, because again, it's what Gary was saying is basically just like, yo, like get up off your ass, start hustling, start working. Like if you want to be that, if that is your metric of success, then you got to be doing 10 times more than you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like we all, like, again, we all want to be rock stars. We all want to be superstars. We want to be celebrities. We all want to be that. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And 99% of people ain't doing enough to make that happen.
No, it's output for sure. And that's, you know, when it's like your hustle has to match your dream. And I feel like a lot of people dream out here and they hustle right here. And then they're kind of like, oh, why am I not measuring up to my dream? And it's like, because, and that's when it becomes easier to be better, because it's simple math. It's facts. It's like, if you just do more, you'll get more.
And
You
I'm
know?
not saying that we all need to be like hardcore hustlers like Gary out at the garage sales, flipping, you know, old school Hot Wheels and like going to these different auctions and like trying to make a bag. That's not my point at all. My point is that we have a very unrealistic and unhealthy relationship with what the idea of success looks like to us as individuals. And I really want people to start to think about, again, their lives and just themselves in that way. Like I really want people to change their perspective. You know, that's something I'll be saying a lot today, and I do all the time. But like you kind of already said it. Like there's a healthy aspect of the internet. There's a healthy aspect of social media, but that's only if you have the right perspective and if you know how to like manage that relationship and you know, like you say, limit the amount of outside influences from all these different people that are really, you know, at that next level. And so, yeah, Gary was just basically like calling me out because, like, you know, I was a very ambitious kid. I'm the youngest of 8. Everybody's always shitting on me like, you ain't gonna do that. Like, you ain't nothing like that. Like, you ain't come, you know, my hometown, bro, is a bunch of doubters, dude. And like, I don't blame them. You know, I'm not here to talk bad down about, but like, you know, I have so much compassion towards them because of the families that they come from and like the, you know, the experiences that they've had growing up. they never thought that those were realistic, like their goals. They never thought that they were worth pursuing. They never thought that they would have the ability, or like they never even had the confidence to start. That's kind of where I'm going with this conversation. And I'm, again, I talked a little bit about how like I didn't have like the best upbringing, and that's not the point. Though I have so much privilege to be sitting in this chair in my shoes. I have so much privilege, so like the one thing that I did have growing up that not a lot of people have. Can y'all guess it?
2 bikes.
2 bikes?
No, I'm just joking.
Again, it's a 4-letter word. It's my number. It's a 4-letter word. Love. A lot of people never had love, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't like I said have the kicks. I had hand-me-down shirts. I didn't have all the gadgets and the doodads and all the cool stuff. Like we didn't go to Disneyland as a kid. We went camping. That was awesome for me. But like, bro, could you imagine being like 14 and like you get back from summer vacation and everyone's just like, yeah, dude, I just did this. And like, I just got a new bike. I got dirt bikes and ATVs and we were out for 3 weeks on the, ripping around and doing the stuff. And you're just like, yeah, I was in the woods for like 2 weeks.
You
just
don't
with
gotta
my
tell
family.
me, bro. That's how my shit was too, man. My shit was like, it was very similar because I had like my dad lived in like Deer Park. And then I was in Bremerton. I lived in Bremerton over on the west side. And so it was like, as soon as summer break hits, it's like, oh, everybody's getting, oh yeah, we gonna kick it. And I would just get shipped over to Deer Park and I would just be out there on a plot of land with just like nothing but horses and stuff. And I'm like, dude, what? And then you're just gonna send me back right in time to go back to school. So I totally feel that. Like I've never been to Disneyland once. So
I think once as well, but I was like 16 and I was so sad that I was there. I was like, get me out of here. But anyways, man, again, like, where I come from, like people never had the belief, the self-confidence to pursue those goals or to even start to pursue those goals. But I, growing up, had the most beautiful and loving mom. Again, I was put into some unfortunate situations and experiences, but that's to no fault of my parents. It's just like they did the best with what they had, just like we all do the best with what we have every day. But they had the most undeniable support and love for me no matter what. Like, that's why I talk about these things in this way, is because like I've never doubted it. I'm always like, yeah, so what? Like I didn't have that, who cares? I can still do it. Like, and not a lot of kids, like I say, are told those things enough growing up. And that's sad. That makes me really sad. But yeah, love, dude. Just the undeniable support and love from my parents. Like my mom used to always say, like, you could be anything in the world that you want to be. Like, you just have to believe it and like work hard enough. Like you could be the president of the United States. And I'm like, word? I could be the president? Bet. And it's like, again, when I think about like what as an early kid, like some of my earliest memories in these environments, in these situations, like I was the youngest, there'd be like violence or like there'd be fighting or like just people who were unhappy with themselves in the home and around me. And I'm just like, bro, what are y'all tripping about? Like life's good. Like look at the trees out there. And like I said, I'm like 8, 10. These are the memories that I'm talking about. And I'm just like, why are we all tripping out here? Like, what are we fighting about, y'all? Like, what is it that, is making them so unhappy that they feel like they need to like project that on everybody else around them? I never understood that. So I've always just been like, trying to figure out how to change people's perspective and help people redefine what it is that, makes them happy or like, their level of success, like what their definition of success is.
Yeah.
And again, yeah. So, I had that. And I'm so thankful because it has led me to be able to continue to pursue these endeavors. Like I'm literally just now at the starting line. I'm 27 years old, homies. And I feel like I'm just now at the starting line as far as like being able to pursue the things that I really want to in life.
Yeah.
Have you, sorry to interrupt you, but have you defined your end goal? Like, do you know what your level of success is?
Oh, we'll get there. Yeah, absolutely. I would say personally speaking, just to answer that question without getting into details, to be able to do what I love on a daily basis, without having to be too worried about what the monthly income looks like. I'm not trying to, like I say, have 7 Corvettes and 3 different vacation homes. Like if it comes, cool. But like my level of success is like being able to, again, do what I do for a living, period. I'm a creative director. I work with a few businesses, a few brands, a few artists, a few, groups of people, nonprofits, organizations, whatever you want it to be. just enough to make sure my family's fed and we have a house. Like that's success. That's success to me, brothers. Like, just to kind of give you a little bite there.
I understand. No, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's is different. You got to define that, otherwise then you won't stop. You know.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what it is. It's like, how do you know if you arrived? You know, that's how what I always ask people too. Like, you know, you gotta have like a goal. You gotta know, right? Because they're also like, you're never happy. It's like, oh, I got money. It's like, well, no, I'm still not happy. So
Right.
it's like kind of
Huge.
That's why motherfuckers that can be happy with no money and nothing and just still be getting it, you know. And that's where, when you can do that, then you'll be good. You know, then money won't ruin you. You know what I'm saying? Because then it'll be like, oh,
state
now
of
I just
mind.
got this tool that can help me do what I'm doing, but I can go anywhere I want, and I can clock in and out whenever I want, and I can take any job I want. Like I can, if you're like, I don't want to work with that brand, I don't got to work with them because I'm paid already, so I only need to work with who I want to work with now. You know, and I think that's like the freedom that we all want, is that ability to just call those shots and not be kind of subject to somebody else's game, you know, which is what tends to happen. Obviously, we all got to get jobs and we all just get, put
Definitely.
in. Like, it's like, oh, we all want to do this. But, and I think that it was like a lot of, I don't blame the parents, but, those generations from like our parents and stuff like that, like it was
Mamas.
it's crazy because there wasn't this, like, a lot of times there wasn't this hands-on, like, you can, like, especially like son to dad too. Like, you can be anything, you can do it. Hey, like, because
Real talk.
moms, I feel like are more like,
They're
do it,
nurturing.
you could do it.
That's-
Yeah, you
that's
could do it.
good point,
But
yeah.
like
It's nature.
Dads were realistic. a little more.
and they're kind of cold, like almost on purpose. Like, it's just like, oh, like, and we're now, I feel like, being a dad, it's like just giving that, like, that love and like attention and like being able to really
The support.
instill that inspiration in your kid and then be able to help guide him.
Right.
Then it's like,
To your point, man, like, just like as a father, like, dude, you can be realistic and be like, yo, like, that shit's hard. Like, what you're trying to do, it's difficult. No one's gonna deny that. But then you could also, on the flip side, be like, but you can do it. Like, that's hard. It's gonna be challenging. There's gonna be difficulties. You're gonna doubt yourself. There's gonna be these moments of reflection where you're like, is it worth it? But on the flip side, you could also, like you say that, and then also be like, but it's possible. Like, you can do those things.
Yeah.
You do just have to work hard enough. You do just have to learn how to get over those obstacles.
sometimes that's just what a kid needs to hear.
Absolutely. Unconditional love. That's what that is. Unconditional love.
Like somebody that's just like in your corner, like, hey, like, I felt like, a lot of dads were just like, if you want to hang out with me, you got to do what I'm doing. Like, dad's are just like, I'm not into it. What are you into?
And that's why I love the
don't give a
outdoors.
shit.
For that reason. It's
Yeah.
like, he's like, we're going camping. And I'm like,
Like, all right, dad, let's go camping. We go camping. But if I was like, oh, I shoot hoops, he's just like, I'll
Yeah,
be
I
over
wanted
here
to-
under
I
the
wanted to
car.
be at the skate park.
Or I want to go skate. It was just like, skate, they're probably doing drugs over there. It's just like, come on, man. Like, dude,
Let's
like,
go-
it
yeah.
didn't matter if you were into it. It didn't matter. Parents, if you want to, hang out with your parents, or you have to do what they're doing. And so that's how it always was. And to this day, my dad, I swear, he still don't give a fuck.
he doesn't, it's because he doesn't get it. He doesn't
still don't care.
understand, what art and music means to you. And that's all right. You know what I mean? But
I mean, it's wild to me to think that, like, you can't, that, like, after all the years, that you wouldn't
Trust
be
me,
like,
brother. I know, I get it.
Just being like, man, you into that? Dope. Tell me about it. Like, what's up? What do you like about it? Like, what do
Yeah,
you
just curiosity.
Yeah.
just being
Yeah,
curious
even
about
if he
it.
was faking it.
I feel like those
even
generations-
even if it's like just being like, I know I gotta act, you know what I mean? That would even be more than nothing.
And if your kid's
You're right,
9
though.
and they're into soccer or some shit or basketball or
Yeah.
whatever,
Kick
you're
the
just
ball
like,
with
you're like,
him.
give me the fucking
Yeah.
ball, man.
Yeah,
I'll
you
shoot
are
this
right.
shit. I'm not even that good,
Exactly.
but I'm
Big time.
here. Like, just put,
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel like the generations are changing, and the it's almost like kids with kids. So we're like, let me get the Legos. Let's go. Come on.
I'm so glad you said that, kids with kids, because it's like, again, I'm 27, but I view myself as a child at heart. Like, I love that that childhood perspective of just pure innocence. And like, that kind of, again, like I say, has a lot to do with what Rich and Contrast is. But just before we go back into that conversation, like you said, man, as a kid, you are just so innocent to the reality of what we as humans have created in this world, in this community, in this like society. And you're just like, man, this is awesome. Like, I'm just exploring and adventuring. I'm having fun playing. Like, yo, like I'm with my family. I got my pup or whatever it is. And it's like that innocence, like I've really tried to just keep close, because it's, again, when you think of how like harsh or hard or difficult some of these reality, like the reality of these challenges are, it is a lot. But if you're just like, keep that, like, again, like childhood perspective and approach to life every day, like, yo, today we're going to get up and we're just going to have fun. No matter what it is that happens, like, we're just going to go with the flow, because that's, you know, just what kids do. Like,
so how was the experience with like your older siblings? 'Cause I feel like that's because I feel like it's like that's what happens too. Like back, like what you hear from like a lot of older generations is they're like, oh man, I had to grow up hella quick. You know, and I had to take care of my family. I had to take care of I had to get a job. I had to do all this shit. So I feel like we're also privileged with just the time that we live in to be able to just be in touch with our kid and be like, I'm still a kid. Where I feel like a lot of these, you know, my parents, they was robbed of it at like 16. Absolutely. It's like 15. I get a job.
It's a different world, man.
Yeah, way
world.
different.
Like, you think about, again, like you're talking about boomers, like some of them might have even lived through, you know, like some of the most major wars, or like just conflicts, and like some of the most difficult times.
They didn't have communication as good either. Like the communication was just like a paper, and like things were like way not like where you can just Google shit and just have the information. You can just fact check. You can just like you could scare the shit out of people with propaganda and shit. Like, oh, what? No way. It would take a fucking 6 months before a year before you figured out, oh, that was bullshit. I told everybody in my town. Fuck. You know, it's just. We're so lucky, man.
I forgot to say before we even got started, just because that little hiccup at the beginning, I was totally going to give everybody listening a trigger warning, just because we were going to get into it. Like I said, we've already kind of jumped into some like serious topics, man, like some serious conversations, in my opinion, or at least stuff that like hasn't been talked about enough, in my opinion, in the world, in this community. And so, you know, I was just going to be jokingly like, hey, like, just so whoever's listening, like, you know, I hope you got your, you know, your pants on straight today, because it's like we're gonna be talking about not necessarily anything controversial, but you know, these things can be triggering, like when you talk about, like you say, like family, or just like your upbringing, or like the community aspect. And you know, I was just gonna jokingly say
going in the pockets of life, man.
So before we go any further, y'all been warned. All right, thanks for listening. Go ahead.
I don't even know where we're at on your journey, because I do feel like this is kind of like we're on like a. Have you ever seen Joe Dirt? You know, when he comes on and he just tells his whole story. I feel like this is what we're at. So I'm like, wait, okay, hold on. We got to get back to where we were.
Shouts out Joe Dirt, dude. That's a great movie.
Because you were talking, because you were getting out of college and you were changing your path. Basically, you're getting away from journalism, and because I mean you just, as of recently, like how long have you really been doing what you absolutely want to do with your camera?
Okay, well that's a different, like you say, as long as I've been doing photography, you know, it's like you say, like that's a lot longer than what you just asked. Like I've been doing photos and film a lot longer than what I've wanted to.
Like
do.
You've been using it for a long time, which was all necessary, right? Because it got you familiar with how to use your camera, different ways to.
I'm gonna say confidently, like 3 years.
Wow.
Not long. So I actually last summer ended my employment with one of the an art gallery here in town. I would say he's like the top two. Like it goes back and forth between Godfiddy and him. I'm not even gonna like shout it out just because it's like I don't know. But you know, it was a fine art studio here in Spokane, and I was doing exactly what we were talking about earlier. A creative director. I was updating his website. I was running his social media. I was doing all of the branding for him. And you know, that meant photography, filming, again, like social ads, like just Google ads, all these different aspects of like just marketing and branding. That's what I was doing for like full time for about a year and a half. And it wasn't like a bad leave or nothing like that. It's just budget cuts due to COVID. So settle yourselves out there. Like, but yeah, man. So I was doing that, and that was awesome experience. I loved it because again, that's what I enjoy to do is craft stories. Like he has a narrative to tell the world, and that was something that I was able to work on with him and like curate and like bring to life for him and
that's cool.
Showcase to the world. And so that was an awesome experience. And then, I just got let go in last July. So like that was a year and a half, almost 2 of that position. Awesome opportunity, loved it. And then since then, I felt like it was a little gentle push from the universe. Like, hey man, like, you could do this, but like, you don't have to be doing it just for one company. Like you don't have to be doing this just for one business or person.
Yeah.
Because again, like I've never liked to get locked into these boxes. I'm like, I could be doing that for 4 to 5 different businesses or 4 to 5 different groups of people or organizations. And so I've just been doing some freelance work since then. I've been, a little up and down each month, but I've been making ends meet as far as like doing commercials for them, photos for them, just all these different aspects. Cody, you work with a auto detail. Mm-hmm. So I'm currently, it hasn't come to public yet. I think in mid-February it will. ASAP Auto Glass, very not similar, but they do mobile windshield replacements, and so I'm doing the design work for their logo as well as just.
Is it a new concept here in town? Or is it like a franchise?
It's a new business. Yeah, it's a private owner. It's a small business owner. I know him. I know them personally.
So it's not something he bought into and he's open. Oh, so it's brand new.
Yeah,
cool.
And so I'm doing the design for their logo as well as all of their website design work right now. And that business will be hopefully up and running mid-February. Like they'll come to you and fix your windshield in a jiff type work. So that's something that I'm working on right now. But
small businesses have an issue because a lot of time the guy who's dreaming and is like, hey, I can do this work like auto glass, they fall short of having that guy who's like, yeah, let's wrap a van. You gotta let people know, you're just gonna die within the first 2 years if people don't know about you. So that's kind of like where you come in, is like help him kind of get his launch going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, okay. This is my, like I said, we'll jump back into this, but I like to talk about these things. So it's like, when you're talking about it as a business owner, my favorite pitch currently with owners and just like managers is, you're running employees. You have maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 15 people under your belt. You have a business that needs to run operation day to day. Month to month, like you're, doing all of these different invoices or like, meetings just to make sure that their goals are met as a business day to day. Do you think you have time to also manage your marketing? Do you think you have time to also manage your social media? And most will typically say no.
Yeah. So I feel like, I own a car wash and I've been doing it like almost 10 years.
Hell yeah.
And so I started business to business and I've moved more towards retail because retail, once people know about you, it's kind of like, they show up kind of without you having to tell them that you're there.
Yeah.
Whereas business to business, you got to go out and shake the hand and then like
Definitely.
get somebody to give you a bunch of cars at once. I guess I'm just speaking from my perspective.
Go ahead.
So, and from what you're saying, it's like, usually companies can get it handled with like a meeting with someone like you in like once a week. And you're just like, what are your goals? And it's like, okay, well, I need 3 people, new clients a week to come in and get their car detailed. And you're like, okay, sweet. That's going to take this many promoted. It's a huge value.
Definitely.
For most businesses. The issue is God damn, people like you charge a lot of money though.
Absolutely, man. And, I'm not even going to put those out there yet.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
but I mean, it's invaluable in a sense because like once you leave
I'll just say this
down
much.
the road.
I'm very aware of the reality of individuals and small businesses as far as, like you say, those day-to-day costs, not only through my own experience with starting up, but also, like I say, I've worked for a small fine art gallery here in town that had 3 people. The painter, the owner, his brother, and a lady who ran the gallery. She was the gallery director.
And then you helped with the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but what just actually came to my mind is like if someone, this might not be scalable, but if someone like you had some sort of way of like, okay, the small business owner is going to take the pictures and come up with like the image that they want, and then they like send it all to you. And it's just like, okay, like they've got it all. Build some sort of story with this.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Does anybody, have you you try to take it all on, I'm sure.
I do like it that way, but I mean, that's not, like you say, always the case.
Yeah.
Personally, like I think whatever route that those businesses want to go in is like cool with me. You know,
Yeah.
if
As
you've
long
got a
as it pays
photographer
some
on
money.
staff already
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
taking
yeah,
all
yeah.
the photos, got a designer, all that.
Or
Cool.
you got like a new iPhone. You're like, I'm gonna take photos with this motherfucker. Like,
Yeah, like
you
that's
know.
awesome too. I'll just do all the marketing side of it.
Yeah, yeah.
We haven't even really got to explain what it is, but I mean that's kind of
Yeah.
the realities. Like I could do all the creative aspects, creation of it, or I could just manage it for you, or I could do both. You know, those are like you say, some of the services I provide.
Cool.
But yeah, dude, we were just kind of like talking a little bit about where Rich and Contrast came from. What is it? What does that look like? And I was speaking a bit about, you know, my experience in outdoors and just like that, how that impacted me as a person. You know, and I really quick just want to jump back. Like I say, when I was in high school, taking photos and just running around late at night, this is like a legit story that, you know, is super personal to me. And it's not like anything crazy by any means. So again, settle yourselves. But dude, just late at night when there's no sun up, I would just be taking photos around my small little ass town back at home. And for whatever reason, I would always end up at this like school, and I don't even, it was like middle school, elementary, I don't remember. But I just liked the hallways, the way that the lighting and the shadows kind of hit with just like, again, those long, narrow hallways. It is what it is. So I used to run around there and take photos late at night. And there was this sign in the window that, I'd always end up looking at, and it was, be the change that you want to see in the world. Mm-hmm. Pretty simple, right? But it's a lot more, you know, it's a lot bigger than that. And so that was my first introduction into like Middle East philosophy, or just like, you know, that concept in general, like being the change that you want to see in the world. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I guess I would like to ask you guys, like, how much do you know about like just the like Buddhist, like Taoist, Middle Eastern, Asian philosophies, or just philosophy in general?
Not much. Me.
I don't know anything. I don't know if I know anything. I might know stuff I don't know I know.
We don't know what we don't know. But one thing I know is that I
just
don't know.
put a cap on it, and I was just like, I don't know much. I'll learn though.
Bro, that's philosophy right there.
But
what we
that's
just
funny
did.
how you answered it. I might know something. I don't know what I know.
I think a lot of people are probably in the same boat, Zach. Like, you know, they've seen quotes, they've heard little bits, and like maybe watched a couple movies that like what they were trying to do is convey a little bit of a philosophy or a way of life. And again, like for the record, these are just my opinions. You know, I'm not an expert. I don't necessarily have a degree in philosophy or these concepts, but these are things that I'm passionate about. These are things that I like to do in my spare time. And it, just like I say, has had a profound impact on my life and the way that I walk and talk and just who I am today. So yeah, I used to just see that quote, like, be the change that you want to see in the world. It's like, what does that even mean? And because again, as an ambitious teenager coming from, you know, the gutters, it's like, I want to change the world so my kids don't have to go through those experiences. Mm-hmm. I want to change, you know, my community or the culture so that they don't have to have these same experiences or like, you know, challenges, right? Mm-hmm. But that's a big, big ask, you know, that's a lot to change the world. And so when you say it like that, like be the change that you want to see in the world, it really simplifies that entire conversation. Mm-hmm. You really slow it down. You really pump the brakes, and you're like, what do I want to see in the world? I want to see kindness. I want to see compassion. I want to see love. Mm-hmm. I want to see, you know, more acceptance, more unity, conversations about
understanding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not jumping to conclusions and just, you know, we're all complex.
Definitely.
Right. And that's the same thing. And I think it's like, what that means to me is doing that work within the small groups that you're in already, your family, your friends, yourself. That's being the change. And that being that will inspire other people to be that. And that is contagious. And that's how you change the world.
Definitely, man. I think so. I really do think so. It's all individual. It starts with you. You know, it starts with yourself. How you talk to yourself, how you talk to your friends, your family, like you say, and that will then extend into your community, you know, and that, like you say, is just the trickle effect. But you know,
yeah, because we've all been around people who just bitch about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like when you were younger, we had this episode we were talking about friends a lot, but like when you were younger, you would just kind of hang out with anybody. I just hang out with anybody.
Proximity friends is what those.
I didn't
called.
know this.
They're just what you around.
I didn't know this person sucked. I was just like, oh, I mean, he's got a PlayStation.
Nah, I don't want to hang out with him. Well, don't hang out with him. Shit.
I'm not gonna go hang out with somebody, and then all of a sudden it's like you suck worse now. And, you know, so it's really like, you know, being that, like fostering that inspiration too, because I feel like that's something that gets people all moving in life, regardless if you want to start a business, you want to get your degree, you want to just get a really good job, you want to do your own thing. Just that fire, whatever that is inside, like a lot of times that comes from somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what the internet has done. That's what Gary V has done for you. So you were just feeding off this other dude that was just standing in front of a phone or a camera or something and just saying, hey, what's up? And you're just like, damn. You know, and then that's what you're doing. That's what we get to do with this podcast.
Absolutely.
Right? And you get to, people are like, fuck, I want to start a podcast. Man, I want a camera. I want to shoot. I feel just like this guy. Or,
Yeah, even if it's not related to art, you know, even if it's not anything related to media, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about your own business endeavors, Cody, and I think that's awesome, bro. Like, again, like what does success look like to me? Just being able to put a roof and food on my table. And that right there, like I say, like you can doing anything, like no matter what business or industry or, you know, genre or whatever it is, like you can do those things. And yeah, like you say, like that is inspiring to hear and see.
One thing I was also going to bring up about success is that sometimes you have to limit like your internal talk, bounce it off of what people's perception of you is. So what I mean by that is if somebody comes up to you and says, you know, how are things going, like with your brand? A good question to ask them would say, how do you think they're going? And if they say, well, it looks like you're killing it. Well, then you would be a fool to not answer, well, okay, well, then I guess I'm killing it.
Yeah.
Because think about it. You're even if you weren't killing it, you're not going to be, or you were doing better than they thought, you're not going to be able to convince them. Either way, you're not going to be able to say, I'm actually not doing that good right now. Or you're not going to be able to say, I'm actually doing way better than you think. So you're kind of locked into how they perceive you. And so this is important when you're building a brand. And I've built no brands. I only just have like a little car wash. But I understand that I'm locked into how people perceive I'm doing. So if they're continuously seeing cars coming out clean, they're going to perceive that I'm continuously cleaning cars, and that's where you go to get a car clean. Same thing with music. If he continuously puts out rap bars of him spitting fucking fire in front of different locations, that's going to continue. And I'm assuming that's what and so same thing with you. It's just like, as long as you can help somebody tell their story and also like put their right foot forward and let the public perceive they're doing well. There's a lot of brands that we'll see and that aren't doing good that we just think are doing okay.
Yeah.
There's like they've been in the red for years.
Oh, dude.
And they're waiting on that one vitamin water windfall, 50 Cent style shit to fucking propel them, and that shit do work. You know what I mean? So, you know, to conclude my little rant, it's like, you know, you're kind of locked into how people perceive you're doing. Rap is a big one. There's a lot of rappers with a lot of followers that ain't doing shit.
Well, I mean, I think because if, you know, I guess it's all like business, right? So it is, you are to the people who are spending the money. That's what makes you like, I mean, we could all just be doing art, right? Like I could just be like in the town square rapping like, hey, you know, people could be like, yeah, there's some value here. Like this guy's funny, I guess. I don't know. He's rapping, right? But it's like for the people, like if you're a business, like people have to walk in the door and spend money for us to keep the lights on, right? And like, it's like you're dependent on other people. If you're an artist, you need people to come to your show. Like if people don't come to your show,
and for them to kind of buy into you, they got to kind of think you're on your way somewhere. For you to be on your way somewhere, you either actually gotta be on your way somewhere, or you gotta show them that you're heading there.
God, it's no different in
part right
business.
there.
No,
That's
it's not.
crazy.
It's not any different
That's
in business.
crazy.
It is crazy, and that's what I mean by like when you drive home, you're gonna drive by a lot of places that are red today. And it's just like, but their lights are on, and you come in, and they're gonna say, "Hello, what can I do for you?"
Yeah,
and you're gonna like, "I
chipper.
need a cheese pizza." They're like, "All right,"
And that's what
but you'll never.
that's
yeah.
what drives somebody to say, hey, why do I want to go to auto skin detail and get my car detailed? What makes me want to go to Richard to get my vision executed, right? Because there's tons of people that are doing the same thing. Why would I want to listen to Zach's music? There's millions of people out here that are making music, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Brand
it's
loyalty.
And it's that thing that you know, it's the care into the craft, that you're building the quality. Your reputation is like everything. And I feel like a
Yes.
lot of people just running out here don't realize that reputation is everything. And anytime you really ever get a step up is a lot of times it's network. Like, you know somebody, you meet somebody,
Yeah.
right? And somebody wouldn't put you in a position to get a job or hire you or, you know, put you onto something unless your reputation was solid. And it's like, yo, I could put my name on this. I fuck with
Exactly.
this person. They do quality work and they deserve it. And that's why.
And you want as many of those as you can.
Yeah.
Because the other ones, like, for real, cost money. Like, to have a new customer, somebody come and get in front of you, minus social
Really
media,
difficult.
is going to come with what's called an acquisition. Like, for you to acquire that customer, it's going to cost you a fee. You know, you're going to have to either hire someone or pay for an ad or something like that. And so
Yeah.
the word of mouth it's king.
Yeah.
Oh, that
You
is,
know what I mean? When
it's
someone
so funny you
stamps it.
say that, man, because like
So-
when you talk about marketing specifically, like word of mouth is literally the biggest and most successful form of marketing. Like, you could talk about social ads, billboards, radio ads, TV ads. None of it comes anywhere close to word of mouth, because you're like, hey, yo, Zach, like, you need a car wash, bro. It looks pretty dirty. And they're like, yeah, but that one spot is kind of expensive. I just don't really know where to go. And I'm like, oh, dude, just go check out my man Cody. He's got a car wash,
We're
dude. It's
all
awesome.
waiting for a referral, man.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Cody, what? Okay, like, I'm just waiting
trust,
for
like-
that trust. It goes down to like movies, like anything for me. Like, I
Anything.
don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
It's just like, go, you ain't seen this? Oh, you got to see it. Like,
Do
I
it
gotta
all
see
the
it
fucking
now.
time. Yeah.
Okay. for
Yeah,
sure.
I hit him up all the time for movies, and you have this like circle, and like the more times it's a domino. More times people are like, "Yo, go here to go there." You use those connections.
That's why going viral is such a powerful thing, because that's what's happening. Is people are sharing. People are like, anytime you saw a video that went viral, a lot of times somebody was like, well, especially back in the day. Now we're probably just all seeing it, but back in the day, just someone's putting it. Oh, you haven't seen this? Oh, you
Right.
got to check this out. And
Shouts
that's how
out
that
Vine,
shit.
man. I miss those
Oh,
days.
Vine.
Early YouTube.
You would just spread like wildfire, and you know, that's with your business. I feel like that's why everything's a setup, right? It's all a setup, and you know, this is what you don't know when you're young, is that you know, shit might not pop till you're 37. Shit might not pop till you're 42. You know, so keep putting yourself in position and keep building a resume, keep doing good work, and be ready.
Yep.
You know, and
Show and if you, when they fake it till you make it, like that whole idea. I mean, that's the worst way to
Boo.
explain
Yeah,
it.
boo.
But I'm just saying, like, fake it till you make it, like, mentality. Like, if you had to choose better words, which would be like, you know, make sure you have like a polished presentation, even if you're not sure of your next step. That's kind of fake it till you make
it's
it.
kind of
right?
like your vision of what
But
you want it to be.
definitely
and
do
then
that. Yeah, like
you step into like what you want it to be, and you're just like, bitch, I'm just gonna move like I already got this.
exactly, and
And
that's
if-
still kind of fake it till you make it. But that's just a stupid way of saying it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of true. Like, you got to
There's
kind of
there's
move in a
little
way
nugget.
that assumes the sale.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you have to assume your success.
Absolutely.
There's a nugget of truth in that. Fake it till you make it. I always have had like a hard like time like accepting that as
Yeah.
like
There's
what
a
it
better
is.
way to say
Well,
that.
there's a better way to say it.
I forget what it is too, but I've heard one where
We're
it's
gonna
like,
make
yo,
one.
like
Yeah.
try it until you make it, like or
Yeah.
something. Like, it's just something
Yeah,
simpler where you
yeah.
flip it, where it's like, yo, like you got to recognize and have self awareness, like of what areas you need to learn, what areas you need to grow in, and that's why I don't like that quote, because like the faking it aspect, you're not really acknowledging or recognizing that like I don't know everything, or like I could still learn, but there are, like you say, just like so much just truths to that saying, in the sense of like, again, you can put yourself into positions and moments of where it's like, okay, now I have an opportunity to actually be that person. Now I actually have an opportunity to like try and be that, and so then through those, like you say, trial and errors, you made it. You are that person now. Congrats.
Yeah.
No, you step into that person. No, for real. And that, I feel like that's where some people can get caught, like never growing, is because you have to assume your success.
They've boxed it. They box themselves.
How are you going to be a boss when it's like you only thinking like an employee, And so it's just, even if you're not a boss, right? It's like, but this is where I'm already at. I'm just waiting for the world to catch up. So I feel like that's why it's important to define your success. Like, what are you trying to do? Why are you doing this? Are you just doing this for fun? Because it's just like, fuck, I don't care how much money I make. I'm just trying to make fucking minimum wage and just do what I'm doing and just be cool. And it's just like, all right, cool.
Well, you should be happy.
That should be not too hard, right? If it is like, I do 7 Corvettes, I get all this shit. You're like, we got a ways to go, but
0 Corvettes. Okay, you're good.
I mean, you could even break it down to a much more simple, because like that's just success, like career wise. But like, the ability to wake up every day and just go, just be able to breathe, man. So many people don't understand like the power of breath. Like, and I know this is again a total sidebar, but like what you're talking about as far as the measurement of success, like, yo, I'm still breathing. I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm
gonna need more than that, though. Me personally.
We all do. Like, we gotta
that'll
eat.
Keep me alive. That'll keep me alive.
But
to feel successful, you had it right the first time for me, which is wake up, family, being able to support myself, my whole family, and do what I want as much as I can and work minimal.
Yeah.
Minimal. In my situation, it's minimal labor.
Definitely.
So that would be successful to me. I have an idea of it. I don't have like a pin on it.
Yeah.
I haven't reached where I'm trying to get.
What you're saying though is it's like when you really think about it, like breathe, like the first thing, waking up and taking a breath is success. Like you're starting off with success because, you could grind to get it all to retire. And by the time you retire, you just fucking, now you about to die or something. Now it's like you're not even
somewhere to start
shape to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? So
it's somewhere to start, I would say.
You definitely need to enjoy right now, because you're only going to be as young and sexy as you are right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's how.
Hey,
that's
speak
what
for
I,
yourself.
That's what I think about. I'm just like, dude, it's you're gonna get like time is the most valuable currency that we have. We're here right now and
in this moment.
And really, like, we just trying to enjoy. We just trying to thoroughly enjoy life. That's what we're trying to do. And if you're doing that, you are winning. That's rich in contrast.
In a way, a bit. Yeah, absolutely, man. Cody, you had said something that I thought was really unique and kind of that I wanted to point out when you were kind of going on that riff, which is like, some people look at their measurement of success by how others perceive them and their metric of success. And now I'm not going to go into like what like that like success means aspect, but what I really wanted to say is like a lot of people look at their own self-worth. A lot of people look at their own value as a person based upon how other people give them that value and how other people say, you have this value or you have this worth. And then we go and hear and listen to that and go, okay, cool. Yeah. So that's as much as I'm capable of, or that's all that I am to this world.
Yeah, you got to be bigger than that.
That ain't true.
Yeah, and when I said that, what I meant is like you're regardless, you have to have that part figured out.
Right.
And when their added input to when they're saying, hey, what a success look, like how does it look like I'm doing? That is just the fact that you're not going to be able to change what. You're not even if you there's too many people in the world. You can't change somebody's view even if either way, and that's what I was meaning.
Yeah, I didn't mean to criticize the point, but I just meant to say, like,
don't feel criticized.
The idea, man, that people subject themselves to the judgment of others is crazy.
Well, I feel like people are out here walking around projecting their shit on other people and like a lot of times in friendships and stuff like that. I mean, you got a lot of people that aren't good friends, and that's what they do is they project their shit. Like, how many people have you ever hung out with in your life before you whittled down to your good friends that were just like, they don't even ask you how you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You like, they come hang out or something. They're not like, oh, hey Richard, how you doing, man? Like, what's going on? How was your week?
Good, man.
Like, people that like they just come in and just dump it. Oh man, you know, my girl, oh shit. And they just start giving you everything. And you can really tell the real ones will be like, yo, how you know, how's your girl doing? You know, how's the daughter doing? Oh man, that's awesome, dude. How's work? Like actually taking an interest. And that's what we need in life, because those are the people that are like, that you can actually grow and build with, you know, and those aren't the people that are going to just be, those aren't the people that are going to hate on you when you start getting success, a little bit more success than them. You know what I mean? And then it starts just being like, oh, you know, you get curious people that are like, oh, how'd you do that? I'm trying to do something.
Care.
Genuine people that care. And that's why where it's like, in the end, it seems like it's just your mama that cares. You know, you're always like, hey, baby, just do it. Yeah, you killed it on
Shouts
stage.
out to all
like,
the mamas in the world. Mamas rule the world,
man,
for sure, bro.
real. So I always want to be that person and make sure that,
Likewise.
you know, being a good friend and just because I really do care about, you know, those little things, because that's what helps us all achieve and be able to get that fire to keep killing it, man. So you've inspired me a bunch. Just
hey, we're just getting started, man.
Which are quality too, just what
thank
you
you.
do, because you know, you take a lot of pride in what you do in the quality of it, and that means a lot, honestly.
Appreciate that.
From a viewer's standpoint.
Shouts out, man. That means a lot. Seriously, thank you, dude.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just to send that energy back to you, man. You're one of the very few artists out here who I have on my playlist, like genuinely, that I'm listening to.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
Absolutely. But, you know, the reason why, again, Cody pointed out like that comment as far as how people perceive themselves based upon other people's perceptions is because I think that has you know, it's very closely related to, again, like what is rich in contrast. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and spitball now, because we're at that 5:30 mark, y'all. If you're still listening, shouts out, y'all. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. All love
shit
you.
Planned, bro. He's like, oh, it's 5:30 now. I can
I was hoping to have a beer, but I didn't bring any. I thought you guys had a cooler on case, but I was gonna say I forgot the trigger warning earlier. But the rest of this episode will be a lot more interesting if you guys are lighting one at home, is what I'll say. So if you, I know you guys probably, you know, came prepared beforehand, but like, you know, if you got a chance, I'd go and spark one, because it'll get interesting out here real quick, is what I'll say. So yeah, we were just talking a bit about be the change that you want to be in the world, and you know, what does that look like, and how do you do that? You know, so like, first of all, you know, rich in contrast, it's just a mindset. That's the way that I try to approach that conversation. First off, like it's a perspective. It's a way that you look and think about the world. So before I even, like, you know, continue to talk about the specifics as far as the like services and the, you know, like products and the actual physical tangible thing that I'm trying to bring to life in this world, it's just a mindset. You know, again, I talk a lot about philosophy, and like, you know, I love to read. I just love to consume media and just other people's perspectives, because it's super valuable as a human, man, just to, like, you know, soak in what other people have to say, how you think and view the world. You know, I could learn so much from it. But yeah, first off, rich in contrast is just a mindset. It's just a perspective, and it's specifically influenced though by a couple different books that, again, have had like world-shattering, you know, profound impacts on my life. Like, I remember sitting on my floor, like, just like on my back, like listening to these books, and like just be like, it felt like the world was spinning, dude. Like, I could just feel like I was shifting, I was changing as a person. I was like, hold on, like, holy shit.
What are these books?
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you've asked, Cody. I'm so glad you asked,
I'm
brother.
curious.
So I told y'all number 4 is a big agreement to myself. Oh, hey, my brother, I appreciate you. This is, like I say, we'll get real fun out here. I don't like mango chili. That doesn't sound too fun for me. Oh boy, that sounds like a bad time right there. Mango chili, holy shit.
Well, these are super cold.
Spicy. Oh man. So yeah, it's just a mindset, brothers, and it's like influenced by, like I say, some of these books that have actually shaped who I am as a person and how I view the world, like my perspective. Like, what's your lens at looking at the world? You just had asked, like, you know, what books?
So
what are
curious.
you reading?
Yeah,
I want to know what he's reading.
I love these.
Yeah, I want to know what these
drops.
earth-shattering books are.
I mean, like, I'll show you guys my like Audible later, because I like read a lot. But the two that I'm talking about specifically, again, like I just said, 4 is a very significant number to me. It's a very strong number, but I'm talking about the 4 agreements. Have you guys read that book?
I've heard of this. Tell me more.
This actually makes me happy that you guys have it. I was hoping y'all would, because then I'd be like, all right, this will be a little easier of a conversation. You'll kind of know what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
like I say, I'm a nerd, dude. I came prepared. I've been thinking about this since Zach and I met off air. Like we were talking in like early December, maybe. And I was like, bet. I'm going to go hit the research lab. Like, I'm going to make sure I come. Because, you know, you just talked about, like, how others perceive you is super important. And coming on to air today, like, Zach, you're like, this feels like Joe Dirt. You just spitting life story at you. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
That's why I love it.
That's why I want to be here. Because, you know, I've never... I don't come from Spokane. I didn't live in Spokane. I told you I grew up in a small town, Minnesota, and then moved out to Washington with my family. But, you know, Spokane in particular, there's a really unique kind of like... It's small enough, but it's big enough where people can like, you know, have that circle and keep that circle small. And like, you know, as an up and coming creative, like in college and just like, you know, as you're starting off, like it's really difficult to kind of like get your foot in the door. Right. And yeah, so I just really wanted to take time to really just like talk about myself and explain myself to whoever is like listening and the way I view and think about the world. Cause you know, again, like I said, we'll get into what I'm trying to accomplish, what I offer and what I do. But yeah, I wanted people to understand, you know, like why do I have these beliefs? Why do I have this perspective? You know, why am I saying the things that I'm saying like that? You know, there's another book called Always Start With Why, and it's by Simon Sinek. Yeah, I think I said that right. Simon Sinek. Yeah. Beautiful book. But he just kind of talks about, like you say, like before you get started and start, you know, actually like pursuing your goals and your success and what that definition is, you got to know why you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like you can literally get through any obstacle if you know your why, if you know why you're doing it. And it's different for everybody. You know, we all have kids here. So a lot of that is going to be for my kids. Like I'm doing this for my kids. Like if you're a parent out there, you would understand, you know, again, that's another conversation, but always start with why. And so I came on today because I wanted to explain a little bit about why I am the way that I am, who I am, and why I believe what I believe. And you know, we're about to get into what those beliefs are and like what those perspectives are. And so, yeah, thanks again for having me, guys. I'm super stoked. Cheers. I say we have to have this because it's like,
cheers.
you know, this is a good conversation and like it's best. Cody, oh, thank you. Oh, it feels good. That's a nice little.
Yeah,
crispy
dude. So tell me about these, exactly how these books transformed your thinking.
So before I go into Four Agreements, there's this other book called The Tao Te Ching. It's by Lao Tzu. Y'all, I was going to say earlier, again, I forgot the trigger one, but people are going to either think I'm hilarious, think I'm super weird, not understand what I'm going to say, or think that it's fucking awesome. But I'm just here because this is stuff that I believe in because I know it's helped me. I know that it's changed my life. And so, you know, what I've done with Rich in Contrast is to try to infuse all these influences and aspects of the things that have helped me become who I am today and then reinvent that in a way that y'all like in the world can understand and receive and really start to embody, you know, like trying to break it down to a much more simpler approach because not everybody's going to want to go read a book. Not everybody's going to want to, you know, take a philosophy course or like go down these different, you know, paths, so to speak, in order to learn, you know, and that's okay. But that's why I've tried to do what I'm doing right now, you know, but the Tao Te Ching is called, it's been called, I should say, as the art of living, or excuse me, it could also be used as the art of war or the art of governing. And really, you know, again, it's influenced a lot by the Tao, Buddhist thinkings, and that, you know, the author, Lao Tzu, kind of a mythical creature, man. People don't know if he was even real. You know, people don't know if that was his real name or like what his actual role was in history. But what they do know is, you know, what he's saying and the things that he's trying to convey are at times controversial. It could be a little critic of the way that the world and the way that people live their lives. And I bring up that book, and I'm not going to explain or like try to convey the things that he says in that book because it's kind of a mindfuck. I'm not going to lie to you. It's kind of a mindfuck. Again, if you're at all familiar with Buddhist thoughts or, you know, the Tao or Taoism, like you get it. But the Tao literally just translates to the way. The way to what? The way, just the way. Freaking the Mandalorian, man. This is the way. This is the way, y'all. And the reason why I even talk about it like that is because, again, like I love these philosophies and the way that they've helped me manage my own traumas, stresses, just the icky, just the side of life. And that's why I say like I've, used those as direct influences with my brand and like what my message is to the world. Buddha used to say, or people used to say that Buddha said, life is suffering. Suffering is, it's a part of life. It is life. I don't think so. And I think that if you read and listen to the Tao Te Ching, like at the end of it, you might be like, yeah, we don't need to suffer. We don't actually need to have these like hardships that we, again, convey upon ourselves, that we put on ourselves. So go listen to the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. I think it's again, a great read if you like to talk a little bit. I mean, you could still read it and you'll probably still understand and get a lot from it. But it really, the reason why I say that is because it's very contradictory. He'll be like bamboo. It bends in the wind, but it doesn't break. And like, it's very poetic. It's a little bit difficult to understand because back then, dude, like they spoke in analogies, like they just spoke in metaphors. And again, the reason why like he wrote that, I think, is because he's like, like people got it twisted. We people out there, this is like thousands of years old, by the way. This book is like thousands from like ancient China, like ancient Asia.
Wow.
And so it's like, it's old knowledge, or it's like wisdom is how I like to look at it. And yeah, so like they talk different. It's kind of weird. It's kind of hard to get through. You read
Cool,
Shakespeare.
But you like, obviously this shit didn't like lose you and then you set it down. Like it affected your life in a way. So it got you to think. Do you think that's like one of the main things that it did?
Oh, absolutely.
Just made you think deeper.
I've always been a very like introspective and just like that kind of like a person, like you say, just a thinker, But yeah, I was again talking about be the change that you want to see in the world. I don't even want to misquote who said that because I'm just like on one right now. But that I'm sure was, like I say, influenced by Buddhist and Taoist thoughts, which is where I'm speaking from. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a monk. I'm not Jay Shetty. If you know who that is, he's a guy who literally like graduated college and then went and lived with monks for like 8 years, and then came back and is like, I'm gonna give life advice because it's like, I care about us and I want people to learn and grow as people. And like, all these, like I say, cultures, like what they have is just a different perspective. They view life very differently than us in America, in the Western hemisphere, this side of the globe. We look at stuff so differently. I'm going to spitball a little bit just because this is kind of fun. It like sets the tone a bit. But in English, we think of a beginning, a middle, and an end as far as our actual language and sentence structure. What that does, like neurologically speaking, is wild. It changes. I know it's so small of a thing to say, but like that actually changes the way that your brain perceives reality. There's a small Aboriginal tribe in Australia that literally, like, instead of being like, hey, yo, what's up? How you doing? They go like, hey, where you at? Where you going? And so the way that they talk about their just everyday life is they're like, oh, I'm from Southeast heading, Northwest or whatever it is. And what that does is it actually allows them to have a very strong understanding of their surroundings. Those motherfuckers never get lost, is what I'm saying. Like they always just know where they're at because of how they talk to each other and how their brains are working. In Western culture, again, we have a sentence that goes subject, predicate, verb, beginning, middle, and end. And we think of time in that way, beginning, middle, and end. Our sense of time is literally dependent upon how we talk to ourselves and each other, and just the way that our language is structured. That's what's so fun about podcasts, brothers. Like, you can't get into these ideas or these topics because it's like, it ain't easy to just talk about. These are complex and very heavy and like, again, just dense ideas. And you really have to like approach it in a completely different way. I mean, some of those, like I say, like are presented in books. You could go to like a seminar. You could go listen to these people talk about these things, but for the average person, who else out there is listening or like, actively going to those places and trying to like improve themselves in that way?
That's why you got to take that. Yeah, you got to take that. That's why books are so powerful. And now, whatever, a TED Talk, a podcast, like anybody that can bring you some of that different perspective. And that's what I'm kind of like thirsty for perspective all the time, because I feel like that's how I'm able to like add layers to who I am and become a better person, is because now I've seen this from this perspective now, not just this one perspective that I have. I'm just this one person in this skin suit doing this one job with this group of people and this family. And this is just this is just where I'm at right now. But there's billions of people out here that have they're looking at things way different. They're raised way different. They're in a different part of the world. They're thinking differently. And it's because there's like this massive, vast universe of thought. And there's a bunch of different ways for us to look at the same thing and to see something different. And that's where the possibilities are endless on what we want to do. And we are so much more powerful than we think we are. And we're so much more powerful than we allow ourselves to be. Because, I mean, our brains
waiting for permission. Right?
Yeah. I mean, our brain, and we're taught. This is when we go to school. We just learn so much bullshit that we don't. What I saw a meme that said, what this meme said today, it said, man, when I was in school, they taught me about a fucking what's that fucking shape that starts with an R? A fucking
rhomba. I don't know.
Rhomba.
The rhomba.
Yeah, it was like a rhomba, dude. And it was like, I've never heard of this shape ever since. You know,
right.
And there's so much shit like that, and that it's like, oh, you got to get a job. This is what you do. It's like we've been conditioned, you know, and.
Conditioning. This is a good conversation.
You have to almost uncondition yourself when you get older. Like you get in your 20s and you fucking take psychedelics and shit. And you're just like, nah, fuck this.
That's a good way to pull the plug for sure, but not for everybody.
Not for everybody, but it's definitely a way to pull yourself away from yourself.
Absolutely.
And to say, because that's a different perspective. When you're looking down on yourself and the world, you're like, oh, this shit doesn't matter. Oh shit. Like, I'm just going to die. Like, why am I even wasting time thinking about stupid shit? Why am I even not doing what I want to do? I don't give a fuck what my boss thinks. Like, what do I even do? What? Mm-hmm. Why was I tripping about this or this? Yeah, one of the big things is that perception of how other people perceive you. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm going to do me, and I'm bringing light to the world, you know?
I think y'all ready for me to talk about the 4 agreements, especially after what you were just saying right there. You're talking about conditioning and how we, you know, have this view of reality, or even ourselves, most importantly, which is kind of where I'm like trying to have this conversation. And that is like kind of fucked up. You know, like we all kind of just accept the way things are, or like what we've been told that we're capable of. And for what? Just because that's what they knew, that's what they believe. I don't agree. And I just, like I'm here because you guys just are my type of people. You know, like I say, I'm a skater punk. I feel comfortable talking about these ideas. And hopefully everyone that's listening, you know, if they're still with us, also feel that way and like can understand the things that we're talking about in the way that you know they receive and like feel, because it's it could fall on deaf ears. You know, that's why I say like there's a couple of different ways that people
aren't ready,
and that's cool.
You know, some people will find this episode 4 years, dude, and it'll change their life. So
I love that. We'll give them 4 years and for sure.
And you know, I had to say 4.
Absolutely. You know,
the significance.
Ironically, again, one of my favorite artists all time, Dizzy fucking Wright. Dizzy Wright, baby.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure if anybody knows who that is, but he's like a soulful, like 90s rap type a guy. And I love that you know him. But, you know, he literally has a song that called The First Agreement. And it came from this book.
Did it really?
It came from this book. Because the word is just not the word. It's alive, man. What we're saying, like these ideas are alive and well. Like it's like I say, a really trippy kind of concept. But anyways, I listened to that song 4 years before I even read the book. Like I've seen this book. I remember like I was in the library in college, just like walking around, and I was like, oh man, like I remember someone saying something about that. I should read that. Like it's kind of got a cool little cover. There's like these little like leaves on it that kind of resemble pot leaves, and I was like, oh, he's with it. I should read that. I should read that. And I didn't touch it for another 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? But that song, dude, like, can we play a little bit? Can just the intro? Is that possible? Maybe not. Off my phone? I know when.
Oh, you can play it on your phone.
Yeah, you can definitely play it
cool.
on
I
your
just
phone.
don't want to, you know.
Pull up your mic.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the
if you
best way
play
to do it.
music that's copyrighted, they're gonna get demonetized.
No doubt. That's why I'm like,
But I don't know if it.
you're the Jamie back there, brother. So we're trying to keep you
Leave
locked.
it on in 30 seconds.
Bet. No, it's just we'll get past this ad first. I'm not gonna let us listen to that. So yeah, man, I remember listening to this song years before I read the book, and just like same thing, had a very profound impact on the way that I was moving back in high school, the way that I kept carrying myself, and how I looked at the world. And like, he's the one of the like 2 artists that I've ever paid a ticket to go see, because that's how much I just like don't like that. I don't know. But yeah, Dizzy Wright, shouts out. Y'all actually really be, changing people's lives out here. I know that's something that you cared a lot about. So thank you, Dizzy, for putting out that music, brother. All right, like I'm just going to let this play a little bit. Because, I don't know. This is guys. If you're listening still, they're going.
I mean, we're still curious about these goddamn
It's not simply
4.
a scribbled symbol or a spoken sound. The word is not like a roaring lion that no one really fears. No, the word has power. And it can be your most trusted friend or your most terrible foe. You see, like a seed, the word gives life. Like a lamp, the word gives light. Like a mirror, the word reflects. Like water, the word washes. Like fire, the word cleanses. Like a hammer, the word shatters. Like a sword, the word cuts. Oh, but like medicine, the word heals. And like a counselor, the word comforts. You see, the word is alive. And it is waiting for you to summon it like a soldier and send it forth into battle. So speak.
Damn, that's hard.
The 4 agreements is literally, I think, like the subhead or the subtitle of that book is like a path to personal freedom. It is, it's a guide to regaining that childhood perspective, that childlike freedom of just, I'm experiencing life without any, judgment or, self-inflicted wounds, or just judging myself based on other people's views of me. And so the 4 Agreements is a book by Don Miguel Ruiz. Dude, without saying any more, that guy is a fucking gangster, yo. I'm serious. Like, if you read that book, I really hope that everyone listening does take the time to actually go read it. That book is so hard. That book goes crazy, dude. Like I say, I was like on the ground, like holding my hands, like, oh my God, this is changing my world. But nah, Don Miguel, you a gangster, brother. And I just am so thankful that people like that exist to put those words out there. And yeah, man, the four Agreements is a personal guide to freedom, because I think a lot of people, they don't understand the mental prisons that they've set for themselves. They don't understand that other people have casted those spells, so to speak, and that we in turn accept those agreements and say, that is who I am, or like that's my worth. Again, that's my value. Nah, those are just agreements that we've agreed to. So the 4 Agreements, I'll just quickly spitball them. Be impeccable with your word. That's why I was, like I say, doing my research before coming here, because I wanted to make sure that people really understood what I was trying to get across. And again, be impeccable with your word is the first agreement. Like that whole Dizzy intro was just him talking about how it's alive. It can cut, but it can heal. It can mend. It can wound. The word, language, it's alive. And I think that again, like as a fan of writing, as a fan of journalism, storytelling, I felt that deeply.
Mm-hmm.
When I read this book, it was like I had finally found something that was specifically talking to me. But I know everyone feels that way about this,
Yeah. Not everybody.
You're right. And that's an important thing to recognize. This is just for those that need it. And that's why, I'm okay being who I am these days, is I know I'm not for everybody. I have a very passionate and fiery personality, and I talk a lot, but for those that need it.
I feel like this is going to be really good for me too, to read this, because I feel I
need this too.
I have a deep connection, obviously, with words and writing and storytelling myself. So, but give us a little bit more.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit more.
He talks about from the very beginning of the book, there was a man who had this experience very similar to what I'm describing, just earth-shattering. And what that man had the realization of was that he just went away from his village. It's the Toltec. So that's another thing. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about the Toltec wisdom, which is like a Aztecian type, native philosophy way of thinking. So the Toltec is kind of again his what he's trying to communicate. And talks about this man who left his village and just spent some time in a cave. literally just was like, oh, I'm gonna go camp in a cave for a couple days. You know what I mean? And he had this realization that when he was in the cave, you know, it was dark out, like all the stars are shining at night. It's a clear day, and he sees the light coming from the stars, and he realizes like, oh, like it's not the stars that are light. It is the light that are the stars. So I'm going to say that again. The stars are not the light. It's the light that creates the stars. And when he says that, what he's getting at is that we're all made of light. We're all in this. Everything in this universe is made of light. You know, yeah. So he talks about this realization that he, you know, is the universe. The universe is a part of him. Very just like, you know, right. But the smoke, he talks about it because he says like, we're light perceiving light. Like you were talking about earlier, how people perceive you is a way that you perceive yourself. And we are just the universe perceiving itself. I'm not here to talk about politics, religion, like I said earlier, but, you know, just simply that, like we are light perceiving light. That's neurologically super true. Like as far as how we just physiologically, you know, operate as human bodies.
Yeah.
And he said to himself, he changed his name. He's like, all right, I'm going to call myself the Smoky Mirror, is what he said. And I couldn't tell you the actual name, like in their language, but that's what it meant, which is the Smoky Mirror. And the reason why he says that is because, again, I'm a mirror, you're a mirror. I'm a light perceiving light, and we all are perceiving our reality and each other based off of these reflections that we see in the world, in our day-to-day lives. And so he's like, I want to call myself the Smoky Mirror so I never forget what I just learned, which is like, yo, the universe is a part of you just as much as you're a part of the universe. And like, I know for some people like that just kind of totally, I just lost half the viewers. Like, I'm sorry, Brandon, I just totally lost everyone that was tapped in by saying that. Cause again, like this is it's a complex topic, but you know, I think that if you really sit and think about what the things that he's saying and that I'm trying to convey, it has a very profound impact, again, on the way that you can view the world. And so he talks about like how that smoky mirror, again, is a shared dream. The fog in between the mirrors is the dream that we call reality. Because again, like this is factual. So some of the stuff I'm talking about is true. Some of the stuff I'm talking about factual. This is factually speaking. We are dreaming all the time. Neurologically speaking, the way that our brains work is kind of like a projector. Like, you know, we get this info, we get all this stuff, and then we push it back out of our eyeballs, and we're like, oh yeah, I'm seeing what's going on. I see what's happening here. And so our brains actually are just in a constant state of dreaming, but we're awake, so we can understand and see the stuff that's around us. And so that dream, you know, is like some people are aware of, some people are not aware of. Like the fact that, again, what we consider reality, what we consider normal in today's world is all based upon the fact that we agreed for those things to be like the norm. You know, like I love to start with this example, but like we call this a table because we all agree to call it a table, but it could be called anything if we all agree to it.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, the 4 agreements is really trying to point out, again, like the way that people are really viewing and seeing themselves is so far detached from the reality of who we are as people, just humans and in nature. And yeah, so the 4 agreements is really just a way to kind of like break out of, again, these prisons, these mental confinements that we've set for ourselves. So like he uses an example of a little girl who, you know, is a singer and she loves to sing and she's just like happily singing, but her mom had a long day at work. She's tired and she's just, ugh, man, why are you singing right now? And so the mom's like, stop singing. You are so annoying. And that little girl listened to that and said, I'm never going to fucking sing again because I'm annoying. I'm a bad singer. And she believed that. And so the first agreement, being impeccable with your word, is speaking about that. Like you can cast spells to unravel these cobwebs that we've built up over our lives through trauma, PTSD, and, you know, all these other like serious things. or we could help people unravel those things, and we can help people to try to break down those walls that we've, built for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so being impeccable with your word is really just talking about how, like, again, our language, the way that we talk to ourselves about the world, to each other, actually changes your mental health, like your state of mind. Like, that genuinely is true,
100%.
And so
Wow.
be impeccable with your word. It's alive. It's not just it's a tool.
Yeah, and they say cast spells, like it definitely, like, your words can change a person's thinking, including your own. And I think that just knowing that people have this shit, right, this unraveling to be done, that I feel like when you know that, then you can go into things a little bit more open-minded and delicate, rather than what a lot of us do is we're all just moving around thinking everybody's all got it figured out. Oh, you haven't done the work? Oh, I thought you haven't done. It's like, no, motherfucker. Like, we're all just moving through this, like, expected to just figure it out. Like, we all should be helping each other. And I think that words it's that perspective, because you didn't know, you just thought you were bad at singing because that's what somebody told you, and you didn't know the person that was like, no, it's amazing,
Right?
And you didn't know the nuance of, no, your mom was just stressed, honestly.
Yeah.
She loves your singing, she just
Genuinely.
yeah. So there's so many walls that are built up and assumptions. I feel like it's crazy because assuming, that's like one of the biggest things, is that when we don't have the answer, we just fill in the blank, and then now that's the reality.
Oh, Cody.
That's so true, and there's a lot of people that do that, and I do that. I think
We
it's
all do, man.
easy
It's
to
okay.
do, and it's just being conscious of not creating a false reality. If you don't have, it's better to just be curious in the world, and just to be curious, and just to be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, then to be like, well, I know what's going on. I bet they're da 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 da, and now all of a sudden this is a truth to you.
There you go.
Right? Not a fact. It's a truth that you have now told yourself,
Absolutely.
and it is not a fact. And the people on the other side would be like, whoa, what?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much of that happens, just people just getting it wrong, people just thinking just filling in the blank and creating their own reality.
And then also, to add to what you're saying, is the person who will take a truth and they'll speak it into their existence. What they do is they pass it on to their kin as fact.
Definitely, man.
That's huge.
And that's, just to
And
circle
then
back.
before you know it, like down the road, 5 years down the road, there'll be kids like, they'll be like arguing with you about something that's very clearly.
It's wild.
Not
And
true.
you'll be like, oh my God.
Who's your
this
daddy?
Well, it's just like, I'm not going to be able to convince you.
No.
Because they've accepted that. They
Yeah,
believe
well,
that.
it's just like whatever you see is what you're going to see.
Yeah, man.
But
No,
it's
you guys
almost
are on
more
it.
brutal when it gets passed to you, because it's just like,
Yeah.
now somebody else created this truth that's
Yeah.
not fact, and now to
just
the
fucks you
ignorant mind has now educated this.
Definitely.
Well, you spend your life
Truth.
working out all your junk instead of living your life. You'll be 30, 40 years old, like being like, that wasn't fucking true the
Yeah.
whole time. And then before you know it, you feel cheated, And I mean, this is a cycle.
You feel cheated of time,
Yeah.
for sure. Like,
Yeah,
feel cheated
and
of
then
time.
let alone let alone you figured out your lesson before you had kids, so you've already kind of spoken what you learned into your kid. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it can be a
So
really
just be
powerful thing.
open-minded to new ways of looking at stuff, because like what you guys said, you can totally, you could be regurgitating somebody's truth as fact.
Definitely. And again, no expert. These are my opinions. These are the things that I believe, like, truly to my core, that I'd like to talk about. And, it's special to me.
Well, it's crazy how that came full circle, because you were talking about the truths and the facts, and it really, like, kind of, we just ran into it right there.
I mean, just for a quick sidebar, my logo is literally just a paintbrush in a circle, because it's a shared story, our world, our lives. Everyone has a role to play. Everyone's a part of it. And like you say, it's a full circle. I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought that was kind of fun.
I love that.
Cody, you had said something that really kind of stuck out to me, and it was just talking about how, like, that truth, like, gets passed on as factual, and again, the quote that I shared earlier, be the change that you want to see in the world. That right there is kind of like, at the crux as far as, like, the value to what we're talking about here is like, if we realize and like are mindful that like of what we're talking about is a truth is a thing, just as far as like the mental prisons that we've set for ourselves, the things that the way we treat each other, then you can kind of start to wake up a little bit and be like, okay, like I just need to rephrase how I'm talking to myself. Or I just need to, you know, change my perspective on the way that I'm viewing these challenges. Or, you know, you can actually make those, like I say, you can flip those switches and you can make those changes. But it starts with an awareness.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy because we're in a new time. I feel like people, like kids these days, might need to like put themselves in hardship, you know, because we got it so easy, you know.
Get me going, man.
Where it's just like
Don't get me going.
where we can just, because it's just like really like, I mean, you just 8-year-olds getting a damn iPad on their birthday, or you know, get just like, it's just crazy. Like, I mean, you just got it. I mean, I guess I had a Game Boy when I was a kid, but it's just like, it's just a different time, dude. Everything is like cozy and comfy, and I'm not saying everything because everybody still has challenges, but I just feel like sometimes
They're different. They're different types of challenges.
Different types of challenges, and sometimes like, you know, just knowing like, motherfuckers are outside right now, sleeping in the cold. Don't forget that's happening right now. You know,
Exactly.
you know, when we're like, oh shit, I had to go out and grab the trash. It was fucking cold. It's like, dude, some dude's weathering this shit.
Big time.
You know, and your kids will just grow up and not know that and just be like, oh, what? Like just that ignorance. Like it's on us to give depth, and you've given depth just right here. Like this has been crazy depth just to. It's so complex.
It is.
The amount of layers, and it would take us days
It would.
to sit here and to like get through it all. And that's what's encouraging to me as a person, is that it's not boring. And that's another part of perspective, right? Like life can just be boring. And I've got a philosophy that boring people get bored because there's literally so much to explore and so much to understand and so much to get into.
Yeah. I love that you had kind of just pointed out, you know, the idea that there are homelessness, you know, like that homelessness is a real issue, and that there's people out there like in a, you know, a very hard spot, especially with the weather out there today. And the reason, like, you know, that I've started with what I have is because, you know, I'm super passionate about mental health. So, you know, now we're kind of starting to get an idea of like the things that I'm trying to convey and talk about, I think, hopefully.
Yeah, we only have like 15 minutes on the SD card, so make sure that we.
Oh shit! We gotta slap up another one in there, man.
I don't want to.
No worries, I hear you, man.
I don't
It's
want to
been
get you to 5 minutes and be like, like, you know,
Yeah.
put your whole thing. But
Yeah, I'm really passionate about mental health, and at the core of my brand, Rich in Contrast is being strikingly different. It's being rich in a very different way. It's not a possession. It's not a material. It's not a goal that you've achieved. It's not a level of success. It's a state of mind. I believe, personally speaking, happiness is a choice. It really is. And these books and these philosophies are the ones that have, like I say, influenced me and helped me to really understand that at the core, that it really is just a choice. It is as simple as that. Now that gets really complicated when you talk about, like I say, mental health and the things that we've accepted as reality. Again, like this is my worth. This is my value. This is who I am. And this is the only thing that I'm capable of. Those things are not true. You accepted those. You've allowed yourself to believe those things. And the 4 agreements is really just a helpful tool to allow yourself to start to recognize that is the case. You know, because again, I'm not a like psychologist. You know, I actually have family who have doctorates in psychology. My brain could never. So I'm, like I say, utilizing the.
I mean, never.
No.
Are you putting that on you, Richard?
You're right.
I think you're
See,
putting that on yourself.
You're right. But I will say, like,
Because you sound like you'd be pretty fucking good at understanding psychology.
I know my strengths. I'm an artist, and I want my, like I say, message to be consumed by the right people. You know, if someone's going in a therapy, dog, like they recognize, like, man, I'm over it. This shit sucks. This fucking is hard. I need help. Not everyone's there. Not everyone's ready to make that choice. So what I've tried to do is infuse these lessons, these ideals, and these values from, like I say, these various influences over my life, and spin it in a way where it's like someone could just be walking down the street, see a hoodie, and be like, huh, what did that say? What was that quote? I'm gonna think about, and then they think about it.
Making people think, just like how those books made you think.
Absolutely.
So, but you're just
100%.
bottling it up and making it easier for people to digest too.
Boom.
Because you have to understand a lot of people aren't going to read a book these days.
No, sadly.
It's hard
But
to
that's
get people
okay.
to listen to a
That's
damn book
okay.
these days.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's
absolutely.
where people like you can come in and through your brand, something that people want to gravitate to, leave with gems, leave with wanting to think about stuff a little bit deeper and say, and like, this isn't just a guy who shoots, music videos. This isn't a guy who you just hire to do something. Like
Nah.
there's a lot more to it that you can gain from it.
And that's what that's why I was really taking my time with today as far as the conversation. I felt like I had to kind of lay the foundation for people to like fully work themselves up to, this point. So thank you for saying that, man, because that means a lot. It genuinely does. It's a funny thing growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the youngest to 8. I'm the 8th, bro. To be able to talk like I'm talking, it's taken a lot of like practice of like intentional breath work, meditation, going to work out, practicing like literally for years during college, man, was some of the lowest of lows during my depression. I would stand in front of a mirror and be like, you are loved, you have value, you are worthy, you are accepted, you are respected. Like that's real shit. And I can say that because I did that.
That's awesome.
And that's genuinely, like I say, like, coming from where I come from, like I probably do have a lot of trauma and PTSD that I've had to work through. And like, that's real shit. Like, that's okay though. Like, that's okay. And that's what Rich and Contrast, like I say, is what I'm trying to do. So,
Well, it's crazy because you don't even know how much there's so many people that relate to you because almost everybody went through
absolutely.
some shit, and it's
Big
like
time.
I want to hear from people who've been through it.
Thanks, man. And that's why I say, like, I'm so thankful, so happy to be here. It's because it's like, yeah, I know that there's people that need to hear it and also are ready to hear it and also are like wanting to. Some people might not know they want to, but they do. Some people might not understand that they need to, but they do. And that's just something that, like I say, I'm 27. It's taken me a long time to be able to work to this point, to be able to just speak about these ideas and concepts. And like you say, we're just scratching the surface. Like
It's not even that long, honestly.
It's a little iceberg. Like we've just kind of chipped a little bit of a ice cube off, and like there's still so much more to delve into. But just to kind of, like you say, start to wrap it up, like I'm super passionate about mental health, and essentially I run end-to-end media marketing management. So if you need videography, photography, ads, you need website design, logo design, pamphlets, flyers, whatever it is, posters, I got you. And I could also actually market and like do your run all your socials, like help you put Google ads online, help you actively get people in the door. But I only say that because I want people to understand, like, I'm not just, like I say, a photographer. I'm not just a videographer. Like, I'm a storyteller, and I want to help people's brands tell their message, tell their story. And I want to help artists, bands, musicians, nonprofits especially, help share their story with the world in a way that they feel understood by their audience accurately, and help them achieve their goals, no matter what that, again, metric or level of success is. But, more than that, more than anything, I want people to really sit back and think about, their perspective, the way that they view themselves, the way that they look at the world, and really start to like analyze again, like, what are the agreements that you've set for yourself? Because the way he talks about these agreements is like a parasite, is quite literally like there is a disease in our head that we have allowed to infest and get a hold of, the way that we think of and view and, value ourselves. And that is so sad, but it's true. But there's different ways to go about, defeating that parasite or to kick that. And I'm only speaking at it from a way that I understand, but there is real psychology out there. There's legit science, like I talked about breath work. Like these are all like tangible things and ways that you can change your mindset or change the way that your body is working. And those things actively will change your life. If you change those things, your world and your reality will fucking change for the better, for the positive too, y'all. And yeah, man, I again, like it's just so wild that people haven't ever heard these stuff. Like I think of, again, like how many people would be in a much better spot mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if they knew and understood some of these concepts earlier in life, from a young age, you know, how much trauma could have been avoided, or how much pain or grief could have been avoided, you know. Yeah, so you know that's really what I've done. So I do media management, but my clothing brand, Rich in Contrast Apparel, that is just another message, like another vehicle to push this message. So when people put on a Rich in Contrast hat or a shirt or a hoodie, you know, I really just want people to be reminded of these things. I really don't care about making money off Rich in Contrast Apparel. Like, I'm still in the hole, so to speak. Like, I haven't even broken even. So it's like, that's how much I actually care about this. Like, I just want people to literally think about their perspective in the world and to be like, yo, I can make it better.
Yeah.
You could be the change that you want to be in the world. And it starts with y'all. It starts with you. Like, you can't, you know, attack systems or, you know, communities before you actually look in the mirror and say, am I the best version of myself? Am I being impeccable with my word? Am I, you know, like out here talking to the people in a way that helps them?
I feel like Rich in Contrast is a play on words for I'm doing good if you look close. Because it's like I'm rich in contrast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if
Bob
you
Marley,
looked
man.
close enough, you could see the good.
Bob Marley always
You
says,
know
like,
what I mean?
What do you mean by rich?
I like
rich
that
in
quote.
what?
I
Rich
like
in
that
spirit?
quote.
Rich
Yeah.
in soul? Or
That's
rich,
kind of
rich
what
in
that
money?
reminds me of. Rich in contrast.
Big time.
It's just like rich in contrast.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like it's like full HD, baby. You know, get in
That's
there.
6K, brother.
Yeah, it's just like you'll break through. You'll see this guy's happy where he's at.
Yeah, so you know, I
awesome.
think again, I kind of have a chip on my shoulder because of my experiences, but like that, I think of the yin and yang symbol. There's a dark side and there's a light side. Being rich in contrast is not about repressing and pushing away those negative experiences or those feelings or emotions. It's about like recognizing them, accepting them, acknowledging them, and using that in a way that's positive, to channel that in a positive way. So it's like very similar to what you just said, dog. And you were kind of spitting earlier about some stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's rich in contrast, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you know, there's so many different ways to interpret or like to reconvey like what I'm hopefully, you know, trying to get across. Words were hard, but you know, it's like, yeah, man, I really do believe everything that I'm talking about, and I thank you guys for kind of jumping in there at the end.
Absolutely.
Of course, let the people know where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, I mean,
And they
my
can-
personal Instagram, Norman Clark IV. Hit me up there. That's all my photography page. I also have at richincontrast.productions. That's my media side of things. I have a lot of different, you know, commercial work that I can offer you guys. And if you guys are looking to get a little hat, a little hoodie, a little t-shirt, you can go and follow richincontrast.apparel. Website's up and live. You can literally just type in richincontrast.com. Go cop yourself a hoodie. Go cop yourself a tee. Yeah, man, I just want people to be reminded about the things that are important in life, y'all.
Yep, we appreciate you coming here and reminding us, and we're gonna have to do like a part 2 to be able to dive
Part
into
two.
to more of this stuff, because we could have just done this all day if technology would allow.
Hey, no worries. We could take a little pee break, man. Come back to it. But if you guys got curfews, I understand. It's all good. I'm playing.
I want to go smoke some weed, honestly. But
Yeah,
we should. Yeah, we're gonna bring it back full circle, honestly, because this was really
Hey, that'd
really
be a fun
awesome.
time.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, guys. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate you, man.
Yep, you as well, brother.
Hey, much love, y'all.
Yeah,
God bless
you too.
everybody. Hey.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Peace.
Peace out, guys.
Adios, amigos. Bye.
Oh, let me switch over to the.
Well, it is what it is, and it ain't that bad. You leave forever, then you lose what you had. You're the only place called home, called Spokane. You're the only place called home, called Spokane. You're the only place called home, called Spokane.
When he was in the cave, you know, it was dark out. Like all the stars are shining at night. It's a clear day, and he sees the light coming from the stars, and he realizes, like, oh, like it's not the stars that are light. it is the light that are the stars. So I'm going to say that again.
No way. It would take a fucking 6 months. That was bullshit.